Hey, everybody. Welcome back to In Depth. This is episode number 13, Protoss and No Regret.
I'm
And
No Regret,
That's right. Hi.
and you're Artosis.
You are, this is why I do the show with you. You're so brilliant.
I know.
You're insight.
I'm just making sure everybody knew.
Yes.
Just in case.
They might be confused about that.
Sweet, we got a battlecruiser noise while we're talking. This
No,
is
it's
perfect.
pretty awesome. I don't know why.
Oh, wait,
what's going on in
Stepman's
the
gone?
background. Yeah, he's gone.
Nice.
I got rid of him.
Amazing.
So, we have GSL Code S Season 2 replays.
Indeed.
And you haven't seen the finals yet.
No, I've been keeping it a secret, a surprise, rather.
Yeah. Well, do you know that the Dark one?
I
right?
did, yes.
Okay. Got to see what type of rock you're living under.
I knew Dark One before Dark One, okay?
Really? You thought he was going to win?
I thought he was going to win.
I actually thought Trap would win. We'll talk about that when we get to the finals, but we're going to look at Dark's ZVP overall.
Mm-hmm.
And that.
So, speaking on Dark's EVP, it felt like Dark was really good this season at anticipating what the player was going to be doing. You know what I mean? Not necessarily. He wasn't like, say, a Serral or a Rogue where he's just constantly scouting everything and then reacting.
Yeah.
It felt more like Dark was the person to swing the first punch.
Yes.
It felt like he was the first person to kind of expect some form of attack, and if that did not happen, he had a plan, like a backup plan.
Yes.
And I feel like this was a way better way to play Zerg versus Protoss than any of the other players that played. Like when you watch Solar, when you watch Rogue, when you watch Serral, when you watch all these players sit back, and they're kind of like, what are you going to do to me? I need to be ready for this thing instead of scouting. Or they go crazy on the scouting, but sometimes they just die to it anyways.
Yeah.
It felt like Dark's approach was very good in the current meta.
I definitely agree with this, but I think that there are holes in it as well. Because that's definitely what I noticed was that Dark, normally you're reactive in ZVP, and Protoss is active. Each matchup has, different races playing different roles.
Kind of role,
and obviously all the reactive Zergs are having a hard time, and he got very active himself, right? He was very aggressive overall. He was dictating the pace of the game. He was messing with your plans, and in a preparation tournament that can be really strong. But I think that that becomes weak the more you do it. Like, it's really good to mix in, and he ended up winning GSL off of it. And I think he won GSL because he was the best player in the finals. Because going into the finals, actually, I thought for sure Trap would win. Because,
Really?
Yes. So here's why, right? Based on the games that I've been watching of Dark and how he was fighting against this kind of immortal meta, and I said this on GSL and within our Discord, but this type of play, if you go Stargate against the way that he was playing, that's going to be a generally decent counter to it.
I agree 100%.
So my prediction was a 4-2 for Trap with mostly Stargate openings. And almost every game, it was like a cannon rush and mostly Stargate openings, but at the end of the day, Dark ends up outplaying him.
Right.
That's that's what I think.
Did it
about
feel like your predictions on like the way Trap was going to play was incorrect, or do you think that Trap just played subpar?
Well, I think that Trap didn't play 100% as well as he could have, and Dark is just better than Trap, I think. Not by like a huge margin, but
I feel the same.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, let's say we take Trap out and we replace him with Classic. I think that Classic has a very good chance, if not a higher chance, to win than Dark.
Well, this is kind of an interesting thing because I think that Classic is too good at preparation formats. I actually think he would have. I think that Dark would have beaten Classic, but I think Stats would have beaten Dark. I think that Stats is so good at playing a reactive game and so good at
100%.
Like he would look at this probably, in my opinion, like I did, and say Stargate openers are right. I feel like Classic would watch all the games and use a Ouija board and find places to hide buildings and do all of his timings and stuff. And I think that Dark could have taken that out, but because Trap is kind of a macro Protoss anyways, and on Jyn Green Wings, it felt obvious to me that he'd be going Stargate openings, but he didn't. You'll see on the new Repugnancy game especially that Dark just played better.
I'm very interested because, like I said, I haven't seen it. These are all my hypotheses because I actually haven't seen it yet. I kind of feel like Classic is a bit of a combination between Stats and other players, and that's kind of why I feel he's stronger than Stats and head-to-head. I think that Classic has a higher potential You know what I mean? I
Than
feel like stats is
yeah.
crippled almost by the way he plays to some extent. It's the correct way to play, but he plays almost only that.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas Classic feels like he can take it to the only that level, but he can also just break out crazy things.
Oh, absolutely.
So I feel like against someone like Dark in a best of 7, that generally would be better. But at the same time, I can see why stats would also be better, assuming Dark is always the aggressor.
I think that stats is overall stronger in a stable way than Classic, but Classic is more dangerous than stats. That's kind of the way I think about those two.
I agree. It's so interesting that we have so many players with diverse playstyles that are all accepted.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Up at the
There's
top,
no real incorrect way to play.
You can't name 2 Protoss that play the same.
Yeah, you really can't.
You actually cannot. Like, there's some that get vaguely close to each other. Like, I would say Trap and Stats are somewhat close. But
do you think that's
indicative
of like a good meta that we have? That these players can all take these little hints of their own play and like incorporate them at the very top?
I think it's indicative of a good game.
Of a good game, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it has as much to do with meta because you're always going to use your own style. But if you're forced to play just one way, who the hell wants to play that game?
That's true.
Are you kidding me? That would be terrible.
Well, I feel like at some periods like we had metas that were just that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's when I think. Yeah, I guess.
Like, do you remember when 4-Gate was the only thing you do in PvP, or Broodlord Infestor, or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different strategies that were just like, this is the only thing we do. Forever.
Well, normally you can put your own flavor into it too, right?
Yeah, of course. You can. You can. But at the same time, it felt like during certain periods that if you had put your own flavor into it, you're actually just making that build worse. But
yeah, there's certainly builds like that.
Yeah, because there was a lot of people that do that. They're like, I'm just going to skip this one gateway, and it's like, now your build's shit.
Yeah, yeah, you don't seem to understand what this is exactly. But there's other ways you can do it too. Like the build could be the same, but the way you move your units or the pathing that you take or your micro can be slightly different. And while excuse me, while I think that there can be optimal paths, it's no one's near this level, right?
I agree.
You can kind of play your own in game with any strategy, I think. But
well, on a side note, we should probably jump into
on
our
a side
games.
note, we should do our main thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll just start jumping into games. We have. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have 16.
I'd say that we
games.
Probably want to go through the whole finals, but at the same time, I don't know because I haven't seen them. But at this, we should also go through other sets of players that we think would be interesting.
Okay, 16 games, and we get like 2.5 hours, right? So
yeah.
That is a hell of a lot of games to go through.
I don't think we can go through everything unless we're time dating it,
yeah.
which kind of defeats the purpose of our show.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
I think we
didn't
should just
see Hero versus Dark. We both saw Dark Hurricane. You didn't see Dark Trap. I think Dark Patience can probably be skipped.
We could do another Patience deep dive.
We should do a Patience episode again.
Another one, yeah.
We got 6 reps in him from this. Well,
Too bad Haas didn't qualify. We could have had a nice Haas episode.
Let's do Hurricane and Trap. Because these are the 2 most important matches, right?
Yeah.
He bashed Patience and he bashed Hero.
I agree.
What was your impression of the... I don't even remember the Dark Patience match, but what was your impression of Hero Dark?
It felt like Hero was just playing into Dark so hard. Like, he didn't change anything up. Yeah. It's almost like Hero gave him a piece of paper and he's like, hey, Dark, this is what I'm going to do, okay? This is my timing. I'm moving out at this time. I don't care if you have a million Lings and a million Ravagers and you're sitting down on the ramp. I'm going, okay? I'm not taking a third. I'm not getting +2. I'm not getting Stargate. I'm just going. And Dark's like, are you really sure about that? And he's like, yes, I'm fucking sure about it.
So was he just holding, or was he doing things like Ling drops? Like,
oh, he was just... Well, the games I watched, it's just like Hero was killing himself.
I think you casted that series.
Yeah, maybe.
So you would have watched all of them.
Yeah, but when was it? 6-8? That's a long time ago, man. I got like a goldfish memory. I do remember watching, like, literally watching Dark all-inning Hero and then Hero moving out into the all-in and dying. Where it was like 40 drones versus like 2 base Protoss, and he just comes down the ramp and just biles go down on his army. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Hero looks like he's in an okay spot. You know, all he has to do is defend Dark's all in, and he's in a great spot here. And then Hero just runs down the ramp into the all in. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, that sounds like what we've been talking about, kind of with Dark, how he's dictating the game in that way, and you can't do your.
Wait, it was a 3-0, right?
It was a 3-0.
Yeah, from what I remember, it was almost all like that. But
10 minutes.
This game specifically was really
minutes.
bad.
Yeah.
This was the game where he literally just walked into Dark's army and lost. But every game felt like that. So yeah, nothing special. That's for sure.
All right. Well,
let's do Hurricane versus Dark.
Let's do it. Let's jump into this.
Especially because we thought.
Oh, of course, there's been a patch, and we have to relog every replay. This is actually.
This is our #1 problem.
This is the biggest problem with in-depth. Like we
should
can
just have
do
like
one less replay because all the login.
16 StarCraft clients open. Like get a supercomputer and have 16 StarCraft clients open. We just open them up.
And we probably get banned for abuse or something. 'Cause we have all these accounts.
Somehow.
All right, let's go.
All right. In the top left-hand corner, playing for Ghost Recruits Dark.
Whoa, you're so good.
All right. So
I remember from this series, yeah, we can like I think Forex did. This one's the Ling drop one. I
thought this game was good.
Yeah, but I remember from this series that Hurricane seemed to be panicking a lot, right? He's in round of 4 and stuff, and it did not feel like Hurricane was playing his best game. You know, when you look at, like, for instance, him versus Rogue or something. But that's part of
Dark's play, right?
Yeah, that is literally part of Dark's play, is he makes you play poorly. I think that's so important. Oh, yeah. Did you know when StarCraft 2 first came out, I took off unit hit point bars?
Why?
Because StarCraft 1 doesn't have them.
Ah.
And I thought it was, like, annoying. I'm like, no, I always know what units are damaged, right?
That's funny.
And then Idra and Tasteless just made fun of me relentlessly until I put it on.
They were right, I think.
They were right.
That sounds like the first time they might be right to make fun of you.
Yeah. That's okay. Everyone gets one.
This was quite interesting. Like, he just straight up just takes this base, doesn't care at all. What else we got? There's nothing really going on. The first Adept, so if this is a Stalker afterwards, is the question. If this is a second Adept, then it's basically like you get full. Okay, yeah, Stalker.
Yeah.
If you get, if this was a second Adept and you see it with the Overlord, it actually means you can just do whatever you want. Like this Overlord just flies in and sees exactly what's going on. Yeah. Twilight Council, before Robo.
Was it the DT drop this game? Like DT Archon?
Oh, does this get scouted? Wait, did that get scouted?
Yeah, it did.
That's so unfortunate.
Right? Do the vision? Yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely unfortunate.
Well, just getting Lings in and then getting Lings in again. Like, you already see so many things going wrong here.
If you're a Zerg player right now, you feel like $1 million. Okay?
Yeah.
If you lose a game from this position, Protoss is imbalanced. You literally scout the Dark Shrine. You kill some workers.
Yeah, this is so incredibly annoying.
I would almost say that the game is basically over at this point. I almost don't want to watch the rest of the replay, because at this point, Dark has all the information he needs to play this game. He's actually killed workers, and on top of that, Hurricane's completely left in the dark.
Yeah.
So this game is basically over already, but we can watch it anyways. It does go on for 13 minutes, which is surprising.
Well,
but we'll see what happens, I guess.
It's over for more than it's.
Yeah, we'll as soon as we know for 100% that it's over, we'll just go to the next game.
So here comes that drop, right? Which is really interesting, because this is what.
I just want to see. Wow, this is so interesting, actually. So one thing that's interesting about this is it's like straight up lair, but nothing else. Like, we don't have an Evo, you don't have a Hydra Den, you just have drones and a lair. And this 4 minutes and 40 seconds, I guess you can't be a Mortal Sentry Island at this point, maybe. But at the same time, if you could...
Well, he already knows what's in there, right? So it has to be reactive. He knows that it's Dark Shrine.
Wait, I want to see... Let's go back and see when he starts the lair exactly. Does he... Oh, you know what? This makes so much sense. You start the lair in reaction to the Dark Shrine, right? Because then you need Overseers for... A fast lair is great against Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
Overseers are great. You're not going to have your Spore Caller randomly sniped or whatever. And in response, when they go for the Archon drop or the DT stuff on the other side of the map, you can just Ling drop them. And it fucks with them. And at the same time, you need a lair anyways. It's like a great way to utilize your lair and whatever Lings you made early on. Like, I bet you he probably doesn't make many Lings after, you know, he knows he can defend whatever is coming. Probably add on a Roach Warren afterwards, and then you have Roach Speed and a lair.
Yeah.
This feels like everything makes sense,
I want to see when the Prism leaves and if he's, like, watching for that.
All right, let's just go back to where we were. Oh wait, yeah. Did the
Well, hold on. Where's the Prism just left the base, right? So he actually saw the Prism leave,
yeah.
and the drop's going to be incoming now.
Yeah, even if this does nothing, it does so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And look at this. He has
Oh,
a Nidus
look at
going up
this.
behind. Yeah, well, this is...
Sorry, I'm I'm allergic to bad play.
which is definitely something we're seeing here. Like, Hurricane did not play this game well,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
to be honest, I think if you're playing a StarCraft match and you're sitting down and you're in the booth and you see all it's already pretty fucking like it feels really hard to play in this situation, and you know everything has gone wrong to this point in this game. Like the Dark Shrine got scouted. I've been Link's harassing my mirror line. Like he scouted my Warp Prism. He's dropping me. Like literally everything that could go wrong has gone wrong this game.
Yeah.
Look at he's even losing a DT.
Jeez.
This is like life tilt. I would just leave at this point in the game because it's actually just a tragedy. You know what I mean?
Well, everything going wrong, and here's
Literally
your
everything.
first round of 4. It's your first real deep Code S. You know, it's very rough. Just even the first 2 Lings getting to see in the Twilight is such a big deal.
It's such a big deal, yeah.
Because that is such a integral part of Protoss is, you know, having your tech found out as late as is possible.
Yeah.
All right,
I think at this point we're done, but we can...
Yeah, no, let's go ahead.
Oh, how many workers? 9.
Here's what I want to discuss real quick before we jump out of this. Would we consider this a reactive game
From
or
Dark?
an active game? Because he went aggressive, but it feels reactive because he scouted everything and nailed it.
I think he's being reactive. I don't think he would have gone for this without
the
scout.
right? It's
because remember we were talking about how he had the lair, but he didn't really have anything with it. If this was, say, you've seen those really crazy ass charge auto lands, right? You remember heroes like charge auto where he just takes off? This would 100% kill you. Like I don't care who you are, you're dead.
100%.
And there's some random glaive all in. There's just a ton of random all ins. But once you see the Dark Shrine, you know that's not the case.
Yeah.
You can't go charge auto in with Dark Shrine. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So
Hurricane certainly did not cross his T's or dot his I's. I'm just gonna be writing down as we go because I'm very interested about this. Which games are reactive and which ones do you just go in with a pre-planned attack, right? Because I think that is a because there's 2 different ways that Dark was aggressive throughout his GSL run. One is blind aggression, right, where he's just like, this is what I'm doing, and the other one is like this, right, where this is a reactive aggressive play. He sees this, and the thing is, if you see a Dark Shrine coming, a lot of players, they'll get their lair, maybe throw up a couple spores or whatever, get roaches out, mass up some roaches, you know, and then play the game from there.
Right.
But he decides, okay, you're doing this, so this is the way in which I'm going to start attacking you.
yeah, I don't think
Because
we
it's
have
true,
any
you only have like 4 gates, so if you're making 2 Archons, like he has queens to slow him down, but
And
you have
even-
Lings in your base.
You know how hard it is to micro Archon War Prism while dealing with stuff at home too?
Oh,
like,
yeah. No,
just buying time that you're not losing drones is great. All right, I think we're done with this.
Yeah.
Definitely reactive, 100%.
Yeah. But reactive aggressive, which is what I really
Reactive-aggressive,
like, because
yeah.
so many Zergs want to play reactive defensive.
Yes.
And the differences are real. They're big. And the thing is, I don't think you can always go reactive, aggressive. That's you got to be careful about this. Like maybe we talk about how this is cool and this is good, but again, I think that hold on, I can't think and type at the same. I'm like a professional wrestler or something. I can't chew and bubblegum and walk.
This screen, by the way, is so annoying. Like you can't even switch servers without it coming up and like making you relog. Like in the past, you could just click the little.
If
globe.
you X off the game all the way and switch server in your launcher, that works.
That's a lot
If
more
you don't
work,
want it to-
though.
No, I know it's ridiculous. It's.
like 2 steps.
You remember
forward,
when
a million
everyone?
steps
Do
back.
you remember when everyone made fun of me at the summit for just suggesting at the end? I'm like, could I not retype in my password every time I'm watching an old replay?
Yeah.
And everyone just laughed at me and was like, "You're lazy." I'm like, I watch a lot of replays.
I feel like it's because of our group of people, though, because everybody laughed at me when I ever said something smart, too. You know?
What did you say that was smart?
I just said some. I don't remember now, but I remember like I think we were talking about cannon rushes being too strong at the time, and they're all like, "Yeah, cannon rushes are too strong," and then like immediately later we're like, "Holy shit, these cannon rushes are fucking strong."
They're strong.
But there were other things too. It was just simple stuff.
We gotta do an episode on cannon rushing.
Yeah,
It's important.
printf.
Okay. This is game 2. If I recall correctly, this is just straight up aggressive. Quick pull into Ravager, which is super silly.
Okay. But this is not this. So one thing we don't really talk about much on In Depth is the strategy of being up one game or being up a game in a series.
That is an interesting thing, but all right, for a match like this, you get your map order just before the match. Well, actually, because this was only a best of 5, they might have done this ahead of time. Now that I think about it,
I've heard that they do actually.
round of 4.
I remember asking
for
them
groups,
this.
you get your maps right before.
Yeah.
So that's actually like different type of strategy than this, where some matches they'll have their maps for a week ahead of time, and that like then it becomes a question because a lot of times I hear people say like, oh, you know, he won that game, so I think he changed it into this. I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. Like, is it better to do that on the fly, or is it better to have your pre-planned, pre-packaged, pre-practiced thing on map number 2?
Sure. Okay, well, here's the thing, though. If you're down one game, it's way worse to do this than if you're up one game. Would you disagree?
Well, okay, so why would you say that that's the case?
Because I believe that Dark is the better player than Hurricane, correct? Like, I don't think anybody here would say that Dark is worse.
Everyone agrees with that.
Dark is the better player in this game. What way to lose the game than to have an early gas pool build that gets scouted immediately and lose? You lose. Now you're down 2-0 in a best of 5, which means in one single game that anything could go wrong, some mistake, whatever, you're out of the tournament. If you're up 1-0 and you do this play and you're tied 1-1, that's a way better place to be than if you're down 1-0 and then you have the potential to lose.
Okay, now I got to ask you some other questions. What about the last game of Squirtle versus MVP?
Oh.
GSL title on the line. I don't think anyone thought that Squirtle was a better player than MVP. And he does the proxy barracks play.
MVP?
Yeah.
I mean, what was the score at the time?
It was 3-3.
I mean, I think that that's a risk that's unnecessary, but at the same time, it makes sense.
I recall praising him because it's unexpected.
Unexpected for sure.
How ballsy is that?
It's extremely ballsy, but that's why we would say it's ballsy, right? Because you have the chance of just losing your tournament with a 2-Rex.
Yeah.
Nobody would say that would be... Like, if you're a poker player, that would be insane. Nobody would say, yeah, just go all in on your pair of 2s or whatever the fuck you've got, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think that statistically would be the wrong thing to do. But at the same time, it makes sense to some extent. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like if you consider yourself the better player, you don't risk your whole tournament on something that can easily be shut down.
Okay, let's jump to another example. TY versus Maru, GSL Finals Game 7. TY did an all-in.
But
did you think that was good?
TY versus Maru is, I think, a little bit different because I think both players would consider each other in TVT very scary.
Yeah, yeah.
And both players in TVT could take games off of each other.
Yeah.
So if you have a planned strategy on that map, go for it.
Okay.
I think it's a bit different if it's a 70-30% like win versus a 50-50. If it's a 50-50 and you have a planned strat that you think will kill him, fucking go for it every time. But if you're considered the better player, I don't think going for strats like this is a good idea. If your tournament life is on the line, rather.
Okay, well,
if you're up 1-0, go for it. If you're up 2-0, go for it.
Here's another question. This map in particular, I feel like it's pretty good PvZ.
For Zerg?
For Protoss. Do you disagree with this?
I think it's fine, yeah. I don't think anything about it is
Well, I just
insane.
think I look at Zerg units and I try to imagine them against Protoss units in these areas.
Well, the thing is,
and
yeah,
it just like
it's bad.
Force fields,
but at the same time,
psi storms, like everything.
If the Zerg just chills, like it's also kind of bad for the Protoss to come through Biles and stuff. It depends on the player, actually, I think. Like a Zerg player like Serral or a Zerg player like Rogue or a Zerg player like whoever, right? Like one of these reactive chill Zergs.
Yeah.
Probably not going to mind this map that much. Kind of sucks to come through here, but at the same time, like these bases are pretty wide open, right? Actually, not really.
No, they're pretty small.
Yeah, unless you push through here.
It's a cramped map. Like everywhere feels a little bit cramped on this map.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I don't feel like it's insanely favored for anybody.
The thing is, I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think that anyone really understands correctly how to choose which strategies in what order based on scores and stuff. The thing is, we can all rationalize it really easily any way we want when you think about it. Like, I can tell you why this is smart or why this is stupid in a lot of different ways. Like, I could just decide in my own head that it's one way and describe that, and that would probably be something I would do in the commentary. Be like, oh wow, this is really smart because it's a Protoss map, or like, oh wow, this is really dumb because Dark's just much better than Hurricane, or you know, there's a lot of stories that we can tell, but like, I don't know.
Do you think that this is the right play if you're down 1-0? And there's no wrong answer, by the way.
No, I don't know.
No wrong answer.
My gut is to not do that if you're a better player and you're down 1-0.
Okay. Then
you want to play more longer games, but at the same time, we talked about this on a previous episode where the Korean mentality, when you're a better player, is not to play the longer game. That's the foreigner mentality. Right?
Which is weird, but yeah. I understand what you're saying.
But like, for instance, if you look, basically, before foreigners kind of caught up to Koreans in this, and obviously in, you know, in StarCraft 1 still to this day, if you played against a Korean, you'd get cheesed. Like, you should know it's coming because they will just always attack you early to screw with you because they're better than you, and you know they can get out of those positions pretty well. So.
Yeah, I feel this is really
so I feel
common
like we're
before, though, more now than before. Because before, I think a lot of people didn't have everything mapped out like now. Like builds like what Dark is doing right now when you probe scout have been done so many times already to Hurricane that it's not like it's a shot in the dark, but rather a shot that you know is coming. You know exactly when it's coming. It's still hard. I'm not saying it's just like, oh, this is real easy. But Hurricane should have the, you know, respectable response to this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Like, the build, I don't think that this is something that can even be used very often, obviously. In this game, it gets completely pounded because Hurricane plays fine against it. It's just, it's such an interesting thing to figure out when and why to do these types of strategies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you say what you're saying, like, I kind of agree with you, but then I have to check myself and be like, is this actually true? Because it's such a hard thing to test and figure out correctly.
Well, I don't think there's a wrong answer either way. If you had your answer that he should because, you know, maybe he's going to equalize it out with a cheese and then it's like better, whatever. I don't think that's wrong. But I think if we were playing a statistic game, right, and we were betting, like, and everything's figured out and we're statistically, like, what's the most likely to win you a game, this is not even close to it, right?
But at the same time, you know how we're always talking about how Stats should mix in some Haas builds and he'll be the best player of all time?
Right.
I think that when you're mixing in builds, like, let's take maps out of the equation, like the different maps and their strengths and weaknesses. It's almost as if you should roll a die for what strategy you're going to use so that it can't be predicted, right?
Right.
That's almost like, you know how Dark plays a lot of very active, aggressive plays to mess up people who have prepared heavily for a match. If you do something like roll a die to choose how to proceed with a strategy in a certain game, your opponent, all the preparation they put in
I agree.
is
100%
worthless. It means nothing because they're trying to get in your head to figure out what you're going to do. So if you've literally, I'm not even joking. I think that if StarCraft gets like bigger and bigger and bigger,
a roulette wheel or something, I agree.
No, exactly. I think that that's where you get maximal strength, right? So
I agree, but at the same time, I don't agree fully.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Dark mixes in these things really well, right? And I think if Dark was up 1 or down 1-0, he wouldn't do this. Because I think Dark knows the percentage chance of this winning, and I think he knows that he's going to throw a map, not throw it, but he's going to do a strategy that may or may not work. Now Hurricane has to respect this strategy for the rest of this tournament. If it wins, he's just up 1-0.
Yeah.
If he loses, not a big deal. Now it's a best of 5.
Yeah.
Right?
I always like that idea of, like, if you do something aggressive early on in a series, it kind of puts your opponent on the back foot where they have to consider this can happen again. And Maru is one of the shining examples of this, where it's like, oh no, he'll proxy barracks
Scarlet too.
All games in the series, all of them.
Scarlet is a very good example of this as well, because
Yeah.
she can play both cheesy and macro games. So if she breaks it out in the first game and the second game just goes 3 hatch before pool, it's like, what? Like,
yeah.
But the only thing I have to say against this is Hurricane scouted game 1 and scouted game 2, and most likely will scout every game. So he's already kind of respecting this. But I think that if you ask Dark this, what he thought his percentage chance of winning with this build was, it's less than 50.
Yeah, I would agree.
And
I think you're right.
I think this is a strategic loss, which is amazing because this happens. And he's not 100% going to lose this game, but at the same time, he is willing to accept a 1-1 from this position.
Yeah, and you don't always want to do your 55% builds. Though that's like the worst thing you can do is in a tournament match, always be doing 55% builds. Because if you're not mixing these other things, your opponent can make your 55% build a 45% build by altering their build to be extra greedy or extra aggressive or whatever it is that counters your build.
Right. All right, well, let's continue the replay. I think.
Are you sure I want to stay at 49 seconds?
That was a very interesting discussion because I don't think.
Yeah, no, I think it's. I'm actually incredibly interested on what we just talked about. It's something I want to talk more with you later on.
Really cute, by the way. So Dark is sending his drone to take his hatchery. Hurricane may think that there's no gas because you can't take a hatchery if you take a gas. Look at Dark's drone. We're not even close, okay? He's just fucking with Hurricane.
Oh, it's perfectly timed.
And Hurricane also has to respect us because he doesn't want Dark to just take a base. So this is just a cute play. This is really, really amazing, though. Like
going up.
Hurricane just knows that this is a fake, I think, at this point, or he's willing to accept the fact that if this hatchery is thrown down. But he just knows how important it is to scout this gas, and if you wait too long, you won't be able to scout it. Oh, never mind. Oh!
That was kind of cute.
Okay, yeah, that was cute.
But also, let's not forget, game 1, he did a pro block as well, and Dark immediately took the other third. Right?
What? Why?
What are you doing?
Why are these off again?
Oh, because you're setting it out of game. We got to set it because we're off of BattleNet right now. So you got to do it when we get back to the menu. But let's not forget that game 1, he blocked the hatchery, and Dark insta took a different third. So that could have thrown him. He could be like, "Oh, that's your normal, right? Your normal is insta taking a different base."
But at the same time, he didn't even see the drone. It just, you know what I mean? It just straight to the third. But this drone was like messing with him a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like Protoss players are getting so smart. They're just like, why are you paying so much attention to this drone? Because like Zerg players just give up. They're like, we're never taking that base, you know? Yeah. But if you're like messing around, like sometimes what I do, this is a cute thing that I do. I'm telling you all my secret. I'll send my drone down, right? Like here. See where I'm putting it? Right here?
Yeah.
And this is where you would build the hatchery.
Yeah.
So I'll send it down to here, and then I'll move it like this. Like it looks like I'm about to build it.
Ah, that's brilliant.
And then when it gets blocked, I'm like, oh no, my hatchery's blocked. I'll have 0 minerals. But it looks like I've just pressed B, H, click.
Yeah.
Because the drone moves like this.
Yeah. No, that's amazing.
So
I love it.
It's just like one of those mental things that you mess with them. So I never send my drone directly to the center of here. I send it to like here.
That
and then move it.
That is another interesting thing because what you're doing there, we got to talk about that.
Sure.
This episode is not about Dark. This is about other stuff. I love that because there's this thing inside your head if you play a lot at high level where different unit movements look suspicious in different ways. Like I don't know what it is, but sometimes there'll be a probe in my base in StarCraft 1 and it will move in a certain way. I'll be like, "Oh, he's cheesing me." It's just like there's something about the way it's being moved.
It's the same thing.
And that's what you're doing there is you're saying, "I'm going to make this so that it's not suspicious at all because I'm going to basically make it look like I clicked it down here and then told it to build a hatchery." Right? Rather than if you clicked the drone over here and then the probe is here and you're just kind of right-clicking it, making it move like you're about to make a hatchery, that's not convincing.
Yeah, it's not as
that's
convincing.
Suspicious. That can set you off.
Yep. It's really interesting because speaking on that, I've had probes come into my base and the way they move, I'm like, this guy's proxy getting me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I even know this, right? I'll throw down a spine crawler blindly, and the guy will call me a map hacker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your fucking probe was so suspicious that I built a spine crawler blindly,
It's true. There's something
like he's just spending too much time like attacking my drone on the right side. I'm like,
trying to like draw attention.
There's just something going on here, right?
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
That's interesting. I think it's actually like somewhat subconscious too.
Oh,
it's like you played so many thousands of games where Protosses just send their probe in, then they like they click on here a couple times and then they they do their things. If you're like really microing the attack constantly, it's like you're missing certain things at home that I'm subconsciously knowing. Yeah. Like let's say he's stopped moving it. He's building a pylon at home, right? Or something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just missing. Oh. You're not missing that pylon to fuck with my drones.
Totally.
You know?
And if you're hitting your build, you might have it shift clicked around or something and
yeah. That's so interesting.
I love it.
So yeah, I've been doing that. Even I do it in ZVZ too sometimes. There's just a lot of situations where like when they're fucking with your drone, you make it look like you're about to build a hatchery, but you don't do it at all.
That's
ZVT
amazing.
As well.
I love it. And it especially works well in StarCraft 2 because all the bases generally have the circle thing.
So you know exactly where the drone goes because the drone literally goes right here, like nowhere else when it builds a hatchery.
Yeah, that's super cool. I like that a lot. Okay, we can keep going.
Nice.
But yeah, this is.
Where's
I
our
love
music
it.
now?
I don't know. What'd you do?
Nice, StarCraft.
Why'd you break my computer?
Wait. Okay, whatever. Oh, yeah. Enable continuous music right there.
Okay.
Or not.
All right.
Whatever. This episode doesn't have any music right now. It's fine. So.
Now, this is the part that I really liked from Hurricane, is the amount of respect he gave it by making the Robo first. Because if you make the Nexus here, I think he loses the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard call, right? Because you want to get that Nexus down, because if they just did this and went into hatchery and you're making that Robo, your Nexus is pretty late.
Yeah, I agree. But I also like the Robo because the Robo gives you like a good amount of counter. If like let's just say that it's just speedlings and he takes a natural or whatever. If you go like a mortal drop or something afterwards, that's actually like a respectable amount of like pressure, and then you take the Nexus. It feels really good.
Yeah.
But whereas if you go Oracle or something, Oracles generally just don't do anything.
Yeah,
if
they
you know
kill
they're coming.
2 drones is what they do.
Immortals
every
are like
game.
a million times harder to deal with. Okay, you have Lings there, and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna lose this fight. I've got like 30 Lings. That's not enough. And Protosses are so good at just like waiting for the barrier and dropping them again. So this feels like a perfect response. It could be a proxy, could be a Nidus, could be a Ling drop, whatever it is. A mortal Robo feels really comfortable. So
if you're pretty sure that they're choosing you, do you like the Robo more than the Stargate?
Yes.
Really?
I do. I feel like the Robo in general is just a better defense. If you go like, the problem with Oracles is you can actually bait out the energy eventually. Like you can keep pumping out Oracles or whatever, but it just feels like there's less presence than Immortals, especially with a Prism.
Yeah, but I think like, for instance, with this rush that's coming here right now, there's some play still for the rush, whereas I think if you send this rush and he has an Oracle and a second one building, you just leave the game. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of.
It's like a little bit better of a counter.
Do you feel like... Here's the thing, because you kind of have to respect the follow-up too, right? Because this is the more important thing to some extent, is not even defending the push, but being in a good position afterwards. Because a lot of Zerg players are good at just finding time to build drones and stuff, and you're behind. I feel like the Stargate, especially if you go Void Ray or some crazy thing to defend, loses all of its potential to do anything on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Immortal is not a bad defense in any way. I think I would prefer the Oracle over the Immortal if I could build more of them.
No,
but at the same time, percentage-wise, it's not insane. Maybe it's like 5 or 10% more. I would like the Oracle.
Yeah, for the defensive capabilities, but not for the attacking capabilities. I like the way you've worded this,
And also, Immortals are quite nice to actually use as like blocking units or whatever. Oracles obviously don't have that, so if you get Baneling busted or something, and the Zealots and Adepts die, there's nothing to fill the wall.
Well, you have that Stalker, so you can't be Baneling busted.
That's true. That is true. It is literally unbreakable. Okay, you see a Stalker, you might as well kill the gateway.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, right? It's actually something tanky that can tank for you, whereas the Oracle can just be ignored. This was very ballsy, by the way. I think this is a big mistake from Hurricane. At least just send the Shade forward, right? But he sent like everything forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just one way to get punished. Yeah, not even close.
No.
Bit of a mistake here.
Okay, so I mean it just continues like this. But this was an active aggressive play from Dark. So far we've had 2 aggressive plays, but 1 reactive, and this one was like just a blind choice.
Yeah, and we dissected why we thought it was a blind choice, so we can just go into our next game.
It had to have been. You're right. He just did it.
12
that
pull.
was it. He just did it.
Nothing yet.
It wasn't. He didn't scout anything to decide to do this. He decided before the game started that this is what he would do.
This is the 12 pull map. Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm curious about is if this was the game, he was going to do it regardless if he was up 1 or down 1. And I think if I was the interviewer, that's what I would have asked it. But, yeah.
Well, that is a funny thing. This is why analytical people don't make good interviewers. Because if I was the interviewer instead of Geary,
it'd be in depth.
We'd get it would just be an in-depth interview is all it would be. There would be no building of personality or anything. It would just be me asking very specific questions about like why builds are used on maps.
No one's asking like how did it feel to be the champion or whatever. You're just like, so game 2.
Yeah.
Did you think that was going to do anything?
I've seen that happen in finals before, where they let an analytical guy go up and ask questions,
and then takes
just
away.
It's like this guy just won the championship, and you're literally asking about build orders. This is cringe.
I would do that too.
I have seen that before.
I would do it. I'd get fired immediately too. They'd be like, you know what?
Don't do it, guys.
You're just not. I would do it, even if they were like, hey, don't do it. I'd be like,
don't worry, we'll never let you up there. We'll never let you up there.
Don't. I'll ruin my career.
Look, the only way that you're getting on the final stage is if Scarlet wins GSL, right?
They'll just be like kicking me off of it too. All right. I think I remember this game. I think.
Let's see. I don't.
So, what do you think about walling here?
I don't like it.
Why?
It's too wide, right?
Yeah, I think it's 3 buildings, 3 and a pylon, maybe. 3 gates, cyber gate.
Yeah,
it's pretty risky. I don't like.
The thing is,
to be fair.
it's kind of like it's even easier to defend 3 bases than King's Cove. So what the hell's the point?
Yeah.
Right. Like, as soon as you have enough units to hold that ramp, you have 3 bases. You know.
Right.
King's Cove, like, you have to wall. Normally, you wall the front.
I actually don't mind it either, because you can actually back up and you can have your units at the top of the ramp. Whereas if the buildings are here, your units are at maximum. They're behind the wall.
That's true.
And your wall is a little bit, you know. I really like this build by Dark, by the way. I feel like Zerg players, even if it doesn't put you ahead, it throws your opponent off. And if you've done a lot of practice, if you're someone like Dark, this is just a nice thing to do. I don't necessarily think it's a game-winning thing. It doesn't really do much. But it throws Hurricane off a little bit. Like, he's gone Cyber first. Maybe he had a build where he's going gate next to Cyber and then a ton of gates or something. I don't know. Whatever it may be.
You know, one thing I've noticed, too, is Protosses have so many ways that they'll deal with this. Some people just use Zealots. I've seen people send 7-8 probes, and I'm like, well, when they do that, I always think that that's wrong. Here, 4 probes and Zealot, I think that's okay.
No, it's good.
But it doesn't seem like there's a concrete, like, this is the best way to deal with it decision by Protoss in general.
It feels like what we just saw was the best way, but at the same time, we don't know for sure. What was I going to say? I don't remember now.
That's okay.
It was probably something really smart, too.
It probably was, but you're always saying really smart stuff, so it'll come back.
It'll come back. All right, so Robo first.
But yeah, he's already...
Look at this drone even scouting, by the way.
Yeah. He's already dictated, you know, a small piece of this game by delaying the Nexus, so that's kind of nice. But I don't think that Hurricane's really thrown off. He seems completely fine here.
Yep. And he should be. You know, like, I think you go into the series understanding that Dark will probably do this to you. Okay, Robo, Twilight. The one thing about this map, if you look at the Overlord positioning, some maps you can't scout the gases at all. I don't know why map makers do this, but...
I know. It's so weird that some maps, like, you see the gases the entire time, and some maps you can't see them.
So different, too. Yeah. Like, you play the game is, like, completely different if you have an Overlord over the nat gases, and you don't. So...
Especially here, you can't even kill that with a Stalker and a Prism. Right. Like, you know, it's just, that's not going away unless you want Phoenix.
Yep. So, yeah, if you're a Zerg player, you want to be watching these gases. Look at he's looking for it.
Yeah.
Not today.
He's like, oh, maybe you sat there. He's like, why would I sit it there?
Immediately right now, guys, if you're a Zerg player, you know this is not a huge all-in. Because nobody goes 4 gases and then goes for a massive all-in. I'm not talking, like, you can do some 2-base timings or whatever, but they're just way later. They're way less scary, I can promise you. And you kind of just assume that they're macroing when they do this kind of stuff because you require a much higher probe count to mine these than, for example, if you go for a charge level and you can actually just, like, transfer some of these probes over here and have, like, less than 32 or something. You're like, what's going on? So anything's going to hit later, and it's always going to be heavier gas units, like Archons. Not really Immortals, maybe a lot of Sentries, but most likely Archons. And Archons are just way less scary than everything else, I can promise you, as a Zerg player. So if you see this as a Zerg player, just, you know, react accordingly, build more drones, try to hit, like, maybe a little bit of a later timing. You don't want to just completely throw out the possibility of a 2-base attack, but it's definitely going to hit later than a charge slot or a mortal timing or something like that.
So let's just check real quick what Dark has seen. Click on Dark stuff. Okay, so he's only seen the Robo, and he's seen the Prism. He's seen 2 gases. So right now this could be an Immortal Sentry all-in, this could be a macro play, this could be an Archon drop.
But at minimum, it's got to be later than...
Hell, it even could be the Phoenix switch, but...
If you look at the drone drones being produced, I think this is a correct response. There's pretty much nothing that'll hit him immediately. So how many drones is he up to? 51? We were talking about before in our other Immortal Century stuff, or Immortal Timing stuff, like 45 felt like the the number. If you went much higher than that, sometimes you got up to like 50, but those players always died. So,
well, I think that this map is totally fine. Like, look at his creep spread and how far out it is right now. Like, if the quickest Immortal pushes could maybe be hitting sometime soon, but he's got good enough scouting. He knows it's not coming yet. The Prism's already out there kind of harassing. And there's only one entry point, and it's going uphill. So it's like, this is not... It's kind of like King's Cove, right? Where it's just like, this is not a good Immortal Century all-in map. It's just, this is a map where you get 3 bases.
So this feels like, what we were saying, this feels like defensive reactive so far, to some extent,
yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, it seems that way so far. I guess we got to watch a little bit more, but...
How many links does he have now? None? Okay. I would say defensive reactive so far.
Yeah, it seems that way. Like, if he throws on a Nidus right now, that's different. All right, so Roach speed.
Oh, I like the Overseer. So, is that Dark Templar? Ooh. 1 DT. 1. Oh!
I mean, it's good DT.
Wait, where's the other drones?
Yeah, he sent 2 DTs total.
I mean, so far, that's been good.
Yeah.
Look at how many drones Dark built, though. 58 to 46. That's pretty crazy. 60 drones, by the way, and Overlord speed now. This feels a little bit more aggressive already. Like, for example, you don't really need Overlord speed at this point in the game because anything that would kill you would, already be very apparent, especially when he scouted. He built an Overseer, and where is it? It's right here.
Yeah, he knows he's
so
not going to get attacked.
Overlord speed is 100% aggressive. It should be, at least.
Why? I don't know if I agree with that.
What do you think it's for?
I mean, it's going to help with scouting with the Overseer as well.
Yeah,
it's not like he needs to save that money right now.
At this point, there's nothing to scout.
Is there something else he needs to spend that money on?
Rather than Overlord speed?
Yeah. Because, like, he's playing against DT as well,
I just feel like, well, I guess we'll see what happens from the rest of this game, because I actually don't remember this game fully.
Because I don't either.
It just feels like it's supposed to be aggressive, because it's not like this point, unless you just like, I'm going to spend this money because I have it, which is possible. It feels like...
Oh, I remember this game now.
Do you?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Overlord speed just seems... I think that it's defensive.
Defensive?
That's it. It's just like scouting, basically. Right? And he can defend DTs
scouting,
better.
Though, at any point in this game. Okay,
well,
he knows literally everything.
I mean...
Without it.
He does know everything right now. I think Overlord speed is an upgrade that you should just get at some point.
I agree.
Maybe you think it should be a little bit later. Well, obviously you think that, but...
67 drones. I feel like it can definitely be a little later. At this point, we don't really need it at all. Unless we're doing some like link drop, rope stop stuff, maybe. I don't know.
Now, what did you think about the Mutalisk play?
I don't remember it. I love it so far though. Right now, I feel like it's a great choice. Let's see if this gets scouted. He's already seen 6 gases, so it's already a bit suspicious. Oh, he did scout it, didn't he?
I think we can mark this one down as reactive.
Yeah, this is definitely reactive.
Defensive.
I think the bigger tell here on a reactive versus aggressive, whatever, is probably the finals. Because I think Dark versus Hurricane, probably Dark sees this as like a very one-sided Dark thing. But I don't know if you'd say the same against Trap.
Well, I think Trap is absolutely considered better than Hurricane. Hurricane's also more aggressive anyways.
Exactly. So sometimes being defensive reactive is probably better. This is pretty bad from Dark, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, even losing 2 mutas is huge. 3 mutas, before anything even happens, it's 300 gas, 300 minerals.
Why are Blink Stalkers coming back? I've been seeing them more and more.
I think maybe partially out of respect for mutas, but at the same time, I think the heavy Roach comps right now, it's like Stalker at certain points is not terrible.
Yeah.
I think at late game or late running, it's kind of bad. But at the same time, you kind of always want Blink Stalkers because sometimes...
Yeah, you want
sometimes
the Blink
dumbest
upgrade.
thing. Sometimes the thing to do when you scout a ton of Broodlords is just like, you trade and you warp in like 100 Stalkers. You know what I mean?
I only do it when I'm behind, and then I'm always surprised myself how well they do.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is really mobile. Like, I'm coming in from angles he doesn't know exist.
Remember when we were watching Patience versus Sue? on our Patience Deep Dive, and he just started going Stalkers randomly.
Just
We're
out
like,
of
why?
nowhere, mid-game.
And it
against
wasn't
like
even
Roach
that
Lurker.
It wasn't even that bad. Like, if he wasn't patiencing up and like actually played a bit better, he would have had that game.
Well, you know, this game got kind of interesting to me because of this, right? Once upon a time, I'm sure you remember this, right? A lot of Zergs would go Muta, which would force the Blink Stalkers, and then they would go like Ling Bane Roach, basically, because it seems weird, but that actually ends up countering Blink Stalkers.
The thing. If he goes Phoenixes to counter the Mutas, then you're golden. I mean, good luck killing Roach Ravager Bane with Phoenixes.
But that counters Stalkers, too.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if he goes Stalkers, it also counters. So this is just like a perfect counter to anything that Hurricane decides. Maybe Storm would be a little bit scary, but at the same time, he's hitting a timing where if you reactively get Storm, it may or may not be done by now. We don't even see a Templar Archive, which is something that he may have also... Oh, there it is. He may have also noted with the Mutas, because the Mutas is fully scouted.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
I feel like Dark's just about to
I think
roll
when they're making Stalkers, you just want to get a lot of units. Like, the Stalkers are...
Look at that.
Not good against... Yeah.
75 drones, 125 supply. He has enough gas to build, like, 80 Banelings. Like, it feels great. Or not 80, but a lot. It's more like 40.
Yeah.
We're probably just going to see a mass Bane here, I would think. Just transform all of these into Banes. Or just go for it, YOLO. Never mind.
That works too.
I wonder. I mean, sure, whatever. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing.
Oh,
really
he doesn't have Bane
like
speed. I think if he... Okay, he's going for it anyways. This makes... maybe he'll wait for Bane speed. It feels way worse without Bane speed. So...
Well, you have to get Bane speed. Slow Banes are, like,
the worst.
Bad.
Yeah. Where's the... Is he... Oh, you know what other thing that feels so good about going Mutas as a Zerg player? You don't have to worry about warp prisms when you go for your timings. Like, if this was the only thing on the map that Dark had, warp prisms are so annoying.
Prism would be wrecking him right
now.
now.
Like, all you have to do is drop, a couple zealots at each base, and and all you have to do is defend. It's totally doable, you know?
That's why I was saying, man, that we should nerf the Phoenix, not the Prism.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Look at this whole army's over here. Well, as soon as Bane speed finishes, it's go time.
We have 15 more. Is there like 50 Banes?
Yeah.
What positioning?
It doesn't even wait for Bane speed.
My God.
Oh, there's Bane speed. Yeah. Not happening.
Yeah, there's just nothing to do there. Your damage output is so low.
He doesn't even have to run into any of your shit. You can kill the Banelings. That'll do enough. He's not even doing anything with the Banelings. Look at... Now he's going.
It seems to me so far in this series, and again, it was kind of like Hurricane not playing the best games, but Dark has done the full gamut, right? He just did a straight up all in, right? He reacted to stuff he scouted in game 1 aggressively, and here he reacted like defensively, and then just was like, oh, like I'll just kill you now, right?
Yeah. Which is good. I think these are all the things that we say a good Zerg player should do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what we have written down so far is reactive aggressive, which we both think is extremely strong. We have active aggressive, which I think we would also say is extremely strong in certain circumstances.
Well, the active aggressive is the one that has a lower percent win as a it's kind of like the same percent win for everybody.
Incorporating it with everything else we talked about before, like all the, now you have to respect it, and, maybe you want to throw that map away or whatever. Like, we add everything together. I think it's, arguably strong, even if you know you're going to lose the game.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the third game, reactive defensive, we would say that it's basically the standard way to play Zerg.
He, defended everything. I think that what he brought that was interesting there was the Mutalisk play.
It was reactive defensive into aggressive, by the way.
Yeah, well, it felt like I don't think he was going to go try to kill him until he flew across the map and there were all these Blink Stalkers. And then
I think he was going to try to kill
him
as soon as he went Spire. He was ready to go for the kill.
You think that...
I think even that map lends itself to do that because it's hard to take the 4th on that map And if you're going mutas into like this massive timing off of 70 drones, 4 bases, if they ever try to take their fourth, they're died because they're going down a ramp.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And if they don't take their fourth, you can just run up the ramp constantly, like send all your banelings forward and lose them. But as long as they're trading,
well, the Mutalisks were reactive though, because yeah, I think so, because he went Dark Shrine Archon drop, right? So when you do that, you don't have the Stargate.
Sure.
Like, for instance, if you open Stargate, this entire game looks completely different, right? There's no mutas, which means that you can't really lead into that attack so easily.
But
like, you're almost 100% forcing, unless he did something real weird, you're forcing Blink. And mass, like Ling, Bane, Roach Ravager, just wrecks Blink Stalker builds.
That's true. I just feel like the act of going Roaches itself is kind of like Spire is like the natural progression a lot of the time.
I think it should be, but I don't think it is. I think most games, when you look at them, people go Hydralisk.
Well, that's because I think statistically, again, when we play the statistic game, the Hydra is probably more solid than the Muta. The Muta is more of a risk.
Yeah.
So, but
I like the Muta though.
To
be honest, I think the Muta is better play. When all these Zergs walking around with Roach Hydra armies, what are they doing?
The thing is,
what are they doing?
I feel like a lot of Zergs are just scared to pull the Muta trigger because if the Protoss is like in the middle of attacking you and you are going Spire, it's useless. Yeah. No one builds Mutas when you're about to die.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. But when you go Hydra Den, you're like, okay, well, I can reactively build like 15 Hydras with my Roach Ravager. That's going to be really strong defensively, right? And then you go into Lurker, go into Hive. And I think the reason why this is the case is because a lot of Zergs feel that the late game is very strong for Zerg. And I don't think a lot of Zergs will concede that point. I think most people would say it is.
Yeah, even the whiniest Zergs think that
say
Zerg
at least
late
Zerg
game is good.
has a very good chance to win late game. Yeah. So this feels like that's the natural progression towards late game.
The best way to get, like the easiest way to get into late game. But yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think that Roach Hydra doesn't have much kill potential. Like if you kill your opponent, he's screwed up. Right? It's like either you defended his all in and thus he's dead. But if Protoss is playing for the longer game, and you go Roach Hydra, you're not going to kill him. It's whereas stuff like that you can capitalize upon mistakes.
So someone like Stats might be an interesting game to go Muta. I find.
Yeah, I think
because Stats is less likely to just go for a 3-base kill you timing and more likely to go 3-base, take a fourth, and then a couple Stargates or whatever.
Absolutely.
So I bet that if you go Spire against Stats, you have a higher chance of doing something with it, and you have a higher chance of kind of crippling him for the late game. Whereas if you're doing it against someone like, I don't know, Zest, that would be kind of scary. Because Zest could always just move out with 3-base and try to kill you.
Yeah.
And if you're, like I said, if you're going Spire, you just feel like an idiot. You don't know how many games I'm like, I'm going to trick him, I'm going to go Spire. And then he moves out with a Mortal Sentry. I'm like, at least I've got 6 mutas. I can kill your Prism maybe.
Yeah.
But I really don't do anything with it. All right. Let's see. So, this map, I actually put a lot of input on it.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind it as a 4-player map. Like, originally, it looked a lot more like Frost. Like, this base was here. This thing wasn't here. So I was like, no. And then there was also a blink spot here. I'm like, no. But I feel like this map is really not that bad. And the only thing that makes it
reasonable games this season.
Yeah, it's also played a phenomenally high amount for it being a 4-player map that's not on the ladder.
It's our most played.
It's also not on the ladder.
Yeah. No, exactly. We haven't had, I think Whirlwind was our last GSL map that was 4-player that was on the ladder. But, like, in the newer era, and there was a long time we didn't have any 4-player maps, but this is definitely the most played.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could be a part of it in any way. Yeah, I remember they asked me about the island. I'm like, I don't care. It's just whatever. Yeah. Like, I was like, why not? Just leave it in. All right, let's see what we got. So, the map. I talked to like a lot of pro gamers about this because a lot of pro gamers actually incorporated the potential of playing Cobalt from our house, rather. Like, pro players from our house incorporated the potential to play Cobalt in almost all of their games. Scarlet and Special both did this.
Yes. I really like that because we saw it start popping up for them more often, and they were more prepared than their opponents on the maps, it felt like.
They basically went in the mindset of, all right, if you don't veto it, we'll play it because I don't care. And I know you don't want to play it, but they think that I don't want to play it either, you know? So it's kind of like a free veto for you.
Yeah.
If you don't veto it, then fine, we're playing it, and I have a build or whatever, a strategy. Yeah. If we do play it, or if we don't play it, then I got to veto something that I wanted to veto. And that's basically the mentality of going into it. And
I think that people do vetoes really poorly too. Anyways, like the fact that you can tell what the vetoes are going to be based on the maps on like if they're on the ladder and things like that, and if they're weird. Because if you're a weaker player, you should want to play the map they don't want to play. That's like the map that you actually have the high chance to win on.
Right.
But when I see the player that's clearly weaker veto something like this, like Cobalt, I'm just like, what are you? Why didn't you just prep something on this map that they're not going to be ready for? Like, you're worse than them. This is your best opportunity.
I agree.
But
well, I mean, that's what the foreigners are doing from our house, right?
Yeah, no, it's really smart. It's really smart.
The best part was they both, or I think Juan predicted that SOS would play on it 100% just because he's SOS.
Yeah.
Which was funny because SOS just doesn't give a damn, okay?
Yeah.
And those games were actually so good. Like, we should definitely do those games on In-Depth because...
Oh, yeah, that would be good, actually.
I remember that series, which is so sick.
Yeah. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that this game, Dark, is doing the build that's good in all matchups against all races, right?
On the 12-player maps, too. Yeah.
What do you think about just going 12 pool here? 4-player map.
Well, I would definitely say it's a fucking gamble, to say the least. Imagine 12 pool and Cross in this position. Like, he doesn't know for sure until this overlord gets to here that it's Hurricane, because he goes here. This overlord has to scout this base. So usually you have to send it to the middle, depending on, like, you know, when you get to scout this. The rush distance Cross on this map feels tremendously long.
Yeah.
It just feels so bad. So you're basically taking the gamble of two-thirds of the time they're going to be close spawns, which is not a terrible gamble, but you're also taking the gamble on top of that they don't scout you first, which is a double gamble.
Yeah, yeah.
So it feels kind of bad, but at the same time, this is like the perfect storm for Hurricane, right? Because he scouted here first. It's close by ground, and Dark knows exactly where you are. So, yeah, basically everything went well for Dark again. I don't like it. I've always said that Dark was memeing when he said 12 pool was one of the best.
I know you've been saying that, but here he is
bad.
using it.
So I love Dark, and I love 12 pool.
I think he didn't use it at all during the finals, if I recall correctly. So.
Yeah, he's just doing it against memers. Like he was definitely planning on. I don't even think he did it against Hero either. I think he just wanted the interviewed players to think this was a big mistake. By the way, this should never happen.
Yeah. He was getting afraid of getting it broken. But
yeah, but losing your zealots is
totally.
And now these links could.
It's better to just keep walking back the wall, I think, in this position.
What's the drone count even right now? 13.
Damn.
It's not great.
No, it's not.
He's walled his own probes out.
Oh, you know what's gonna?
Oh no!
Do you remember the gate doesn't get power? The one on the bottom.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is so sad.
That's heartbreaking.
18 to 19. At this point, the game is already over, I think.
Yeah, no, this is terrible.
You can just chalk this up to, honestly, he was unlucky.
This is active-aggressive.
This is definitely active-aggressive, though. All right. Yeah, that felt really bad for Hurricane. I think if you're Hurricane, you're like, fuck me, man. Like, just everything is going wrong this series. But if I was him, you know, like, he did a lot. He got to where he was. You know, Dark is scary. He lost to the champion. I don't think you can beat yourself up too hard about that.
Oh, for Hurricane? Oh, yeah, no, I mean, a round of 4 is a great result. And he's not used to getting deep in tournaments, so it's not a surprise. There's been a lot of great players over the years that just haven't dealt with the pressure correctly, and this series seemed like he wasn't dealing with the pressure correctly, and Dark was better than him, so it was like a two-pronged.
Right, I agree.
A two-pronged thing.
I bet if these were ladder games, the games would look better.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I think
ladder games and tournaments are so different.
They're so different, yeah.
It is wild.
That's so interesting too. We should just take like if we could get 5 replays of Hurricane versus Dark and compare them to like these replays.
Like ladder games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It would look so different.
Probably looks better even if he loses 2-3 again.
Yeah. It's so interesting. This is kind of what my goal with Anonymous was to some extent. It's still a tournament, but it does have ladder vibes.
Though. Yeah.
Because you don't know who you're playing against, so you kind of just have to play a game against that race.
You got to run another one of those.
I want to. It's actually so much work, though.
I know. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I think I want to try and do one this Sunday, so I'll tweet about
This
it.
Sunday?
Yep.
Damn.
It means when I get home, I'll figure it out. Saturday I'm free, so maybe I'll. Yeah,
It's
I also
Friday,
find
you
it.
know.
Yeah, Saturday is fine though. I find that it's actually better to schedule a tournament one day before because players don't forget. Like when I do week in advance, like players just dick around so much. Okay. You know, I invited Haas to 2 separate anonymouses, and he missed both of them. The whole tournament is for him, man. You know?
Yeah.
The tournament is for him and me.
That's
and
true.
obviously, I don't play. Okay, so speaking on this, what would you say this is? This feels like a reactive, aggressive kind of thing to do.
I think this is just... I don't think that this counts either way.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's not... Like, if it's a hatcher on the other side of the wall, that's active-aggressive. But this is just... screwing up his opponent.
Well, yeah, but you also scout with the drone. You force a reaction from Hurricane.
Yeah, in a way, it's
how do we
somewhat
define
active
aggressive?
Well, I think. Okay, so. Yeah, no, it's a difficult thing, right?
I feel like.
Well, this move in particular is active, right? But I don't think that means that we can label the game as that because it's not a big enough part. Because when this is done, right, I mean, in 30 seconds we're going to look at this and who has the lead, right? And we could have different opinions on that and not be 100% sure.
If
you know what I mean?
this drone came up here and scouted a Stargate, would you say that's active-aggressive then?
Well, it's not aggressive because he's not attacking. It's active.
I mean aggressive.
But the thing is, if he's doing it to scout, then that could be active defensive. Because he's trying to defend what he's scouting, right? Scouting is a defensive thing that you're doing most of the time, which is why active-aggressive is so interesting, like King's Cove, right? Because normally what you do is you scout what your opponent's doing, and then you do the thing that stops it.
Or what if this was like a Banley all-in?
That would be active-aggressive.
But we wouldn't call it active-aggressive because of this. All right, this is interesting. Again, perfect response. Like it doesn't even feel like his Nexus is that delayed, honestly. Like
yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. It's like... Who's actually ahead after that?
Yeah.
I think it's more about throwing your opponent off the game rather than gaining an actual advantage. In fact, if I had to guess, like I don't know the exact answer to this, but if I had to guess, I would say that if Protoss deals with it correctly, which I think Hurricane basically does, it is a slight advantage Protoss. Just very small, but slight advantage compared to a normal opening in the game. Which means that throwing your opponent off is probably what you're looking to do. Just messing with their head a little bit.
I feel like the act of throwing your opponent off is already kind of active, though. That's all. I think it can be open to interpretation.
You're right. It's an active move. It is an active move.
Right. So I guess if we had like a formal definition, we could maybe see if this kind of flows into that definition.
We'll have to think of it because we kind of...
You know what? We need an Artosis Norgut dictionary.
Yeah.
We can sell that to our Patreons. You guys would buy an Artosis Norgut dictionary, right?
And give it to them for free.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, look at that. Maybe we'll do it to Patreons that are, now Patreons. Reward them for loyalty. Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/indepthsc2.
That's right.
That'd be so sick. Smooth Brain would be like insult number 1. One of the worst things you could call somebody.
Smooth Brain is amazing.
Okay, this is the first game we've actually seen Hydras. Hydras are such an interesting decision to make because they, especially when you're not going Roaches, they have their timings that you die. You know what I mean? Like if this is, say, Robo, you know how he always gets a fast Twilight? If he goes fast Twilight charge and goes for like an Immortal Charge Lot all-in or something along those lines, it's really, really hard to deal with. I'm wondering if that gas up there says anything.
Yeah,
when did he see that?
That's a good question.
Like a fast lair in general is not bad. It's gives you a lot of like options. You can get a Overseer, you can get a Nidus, you can get a Spire, you can get a Roach, whatever you want, right? But a lot of the time you get your Roach Horn before your lair so that you don't die to random stuff. He's already got his lair on the way, so at this point he's already decided to go for a fast lair. If this was even a standard Immortal Sentry all-in, it's quite scary, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if they're going to hit anything fast, then you're going to get punished for the Hydralisk Den.
Yeah. This feels like a little bit of a gamble from Dark, but not a bad one. I don't think this is a bad call to make if you haven't done it yet.
Well, it's a best of 7 as well, and he's up.
If you opened Quick Lair every game of this tournament, this would just be really bad. Because, oh, I remember this. This is so close. Oof. You know what would be sick right now? Just double down and throw a Spire down. Like, just go straight
Spire
up
and Hydra?
lair into Spire. No, Hydra. Just straight up lair,
Oh,
fast lair, and just straight up Spire.
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that beats.
Beats everything. That isn't just Stargate. Imagine, like, you know when people go Roach Spire? Imagine it just hits, like, a minute earlier.
Mm.
The only thing is that you literally die to everything. Like, if he ever just moves out with, like, anything, you die. But if you were a gambling man, I think that would be an interesting way to gamble a possible win. Maybe you could even build the Roach Warren and just not use it.
Yeah, no, I think you could. Sorry, okay. So the active reactive thing. I want to.
Oh, you're
Define it right
defining
quick.
it? Nice.
Right, because this is how it started. Active,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we're using active here,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if this is the best word, but to use for this, because we use active, like I like to talk about active units a lot, things like Mutalisks or Warp Prism, stuff like that. But active is deciding to do something without scouting your opponent. Like, you've already decided to do it, right?
Sure.
Deciding just straight up.
So, like, the active proxy hatching is definitely an active
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Because you have made this decision regardless of any information that you could have obtained at the time of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, game 2 was completely active, and it was aggressive, right? It's aggressive is attacking, defensive is the other, defending. And then reactive is making choices based on your opponent, deciding things based on what you scout.
Scouting, yeah.
Deciding based on information in game.
Right.
And the thing is, active can be decided on information outside a game, but like, you've already decided to do it. Like, the hatchery, the offensive hatchery is active, right? The Zergling rush is active.
So we've gone with active aggressive. So we should probably define aggressive too then.
Attacking.
Just attacking?
Yeah.
That's it?
And then defending is defending. Absorbing versus putting on the
Right.
actual attack.
So the first play in the game you could say is probably an active defensive move to some extent?
It's an active move, but it's neither
wouldn't say
aggressive nor defensive, because it's not actually doing damage, and it's not actually defending. It's just it's an active move. You're dictating something within the game.
I feel like we're scientists.
We
Defining things.
basically are.
The council, the PhD men.
Yeah. PhD man.
Here we go. So these things are just so cute. I think every Zerg player should do this. Even if you just come in and there's a Zealot here and you just leave. Now the Protoss has to worry about this for the rest of the game.
That's true. That's true. No Stargate. Not an easy clean. Look at that. It's good stuff.
Like, this is just so much damage already. Like, what is
Yeah.
Hurricane doing right now?
2
Wait,
probes
look,
is
he's
all.
just looking. Oh, look, my prism. It's not doing anything. Yeah. See, this just feels good. Even if it doesn't do anything. Also, you get full vision of what's going on. You see the forge.
Totally.
Every
You
Zerg
see the
should do this.
entire army?
Oh, this is another reason why fast lair is good, right? Because you can only do this with lair. Before you needed Evo, but now
I'm still interested in how he decided to go for the Hydras. It seems like he had just decided.
Yeah,
like, I
this
don't
is not
think
a
he
reactive
scouted
thing.
enough.
I don't think it was a reactive thing.
Yeah. So it seems like he was just like, I'm going Hydras this game.
Yep.
Because I don't feel like he saw enough to decide this. Because he saw Robo and another gas. That doesn't mean enough.
Exactly. I agree.
Like, maybe
But
when you see the third gas, the thing is, if you do, like,
Well, the lair was
Marjorie
already
build or
started at
something,
that
you
point
just
too.
die.
Yeah.
You're dead. The game's over. It ends.
The lair was already started when the third gas went down. So it wasn't like he saw the third gas and then did it. Interesting. I really like mixing this in, though. I think it's really good. Because if you go Roach every game, that's also a pretty good way to die eventually. There's people blind countering it. But it's hard to do it if you just throw this stuff in. And, like, he's already up, what, 3-1 now?
Yeah, he's up 3-1.
He's up 3-1. He can make a bit of a gamble here, I think. I don't think it's a big enough gamble that he just loses, per se.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's certain builds that will
kill him, yes.
Straight up dead. But, like this game, none of them happened. It didn't seem like Hurricane was doing that. Most of Hurricane's pushes have been a little bit slower. He hasn't been insanely aggressive with
It's
them.
interesting the difference between Hurricane play here versus Hurricane versus Rogue in, like, multiple times. Hurricane versus... Hurricane versus Solar was a little bit similar, but Hurricane versus Rogue specifically was just like...
Well,
going for the
Solar
throat.
and Dark are closer together on the Zerg spectrum than Rogue is to either of them. Rogue is
I wonder how Hurricane would do.
Rogue is even more late game than like a Serral or
I
something.
was gonna say, I wonder how Hurricane would do versus someone like Serral. I think we would all say that Serral's considerably better.
Yeah.
But it's just curious to think if Hurricane would go for the throat more and like do more dedicated pushes immediately and kind of like fake out certain things and just go. Because that's what it felt like a lot of the earlier stuff against Rogue was. Like a really dedicated timing that may or may not be other things, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that would be how he would play probably against Serral, because Serral's somewhat close to Rogue. It's not exact. You have to go a little bit further down from top Zergs to get anyone that's close to Rogue. Like, I think sort of is somewhat close to Rogue.
Yeah. Play style wise, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Just recall out. Recall out. He stayed long. Oh wow, that was sick. Oh no, this is not that sick though.
Oh.
He just overstayed his welcome. He should have just left as soon as he killed the base.
Yeah. Yeah. Just check if he had energy.
For recall?
Yeah, just go check the 2 nexuses. You don't have to go back in time. Okay, so
actually no. Maybe?
he did not have energy for recall.
Wow.
Because we were wondering that and talking about that a little bit during the cast, if I recall correctly. But yeah,
that's a pretty big mistake then.
He did not have the energy until that moment.
He should have waited for
a few seconds before
attack. Then he shouldn't have just gone with it. Because that could have been punished even harder than it was, to be fair. Like, one missed force field there, and everything just dies instantly.
Whereas if he goes up, kills it, and insta-recalls, wow,
just
that's a good position.
Yeah, and look, he's got 10 workers on the other side, too.
Dark was very good, though, to come in for the flank. Like, the way that he...
No, he was. A lot of Zergs were just been like, oh, straight down this ramp.
They're like, oh, Protoss is imbalanced. And Dark's like, well, I'll just flank the army and kill it.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like, at this point, imagine that whole thing gets recalled. It kind of feels like Dark is a little bit shoehorned into being aggressive right now. Like, when you look at what he's got at home, he getting his Lurker Den now. There's no his infestation pit. There's no hive. What was that died? Let's go back and see what that was.
Oh, the
Valius. So this has done so much already, right? It just feels like we've got a, 70 to 58. It's not 100%, but it's getting to the point where Dark has to do something on the other side of the map, especially if there was a 4th. So if he was able to get all these units out, do this, and constantly put on damage here, he'd be in a really good spot. Even now, I don't feel like Hurricane's in a terrible spot.
Yeah, he seems fine
Plus
right now.
3 is on the way versus +1. Yeah. Storm is just like going to demolish this army too. He's a little bit living life on the edge with these zealots, by the way. Like, the amount of times we've watched Dark just run through the ramp or here is just pretty crazy. Like, Dark is posturing like he wants to do something, right?
Yeah, he's like tapping on the front door or something, but like you can kind of tell he's not going to, right? It seems like it shouldn't work.
It shouldn't.
Oh wow, look at that! He actually
did want to
works
go
all
for
over
it.
the place.
He definitely felt like he wanted to do something, but I don't know why.
The spread was not well done by Hurricane. I feel like this was easily defensible.
I agree. It didn't go that badly, but it could have gone even way worse, or way worse for Dark, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I agree.
It could have just been like a smack.
Yeah.
You know, the Banelings kill nothing.
If this was stats, that would have been a smack.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Perfectly defended.
Stats has probably dealt with that shit so much. It would have gotten shut down so fast.
Yeah, the unit splitting was a little bit off. The army composition itself was a little bit wonky.
It still feels like he's not droning much. 73 drones to 66. If this was stats, I think that stats would win this game 100%. Because stats would have, crushed that. Stats would have probably recalled this army. And stats probably would have had this 4th already. So
yeah, well, we were talking at the beginning of the show about who would have done better against Dark, and I was saying I think stats would do like really, really well against him, because if you look at the way that Dark is playing, it's like strong, but stats is no BS play,
right?
Where you can't really kill him. I think that's going to do fantastically against this overall gist that we're getting from Dark this season.
I agree. All right, let's keep watching. So at this point in the game, 19 lurkers. That's so many lurkers.
That is a lot of lurkers.
The only thing that I would say gives Dark a decisive advantage is the immortal count. But if we had like 4 immortals here, I don't think I would be so sure to call this a favored spot for Dark. This is a lot of lurkers.
It's a prism, right?
But at the same time, like the economies don't feel very different. +3. It just feels like this army is just too squishy to lurkers.
Yeah,
though.
it is super squishy. That is a ridiculous amount of lurkers. It's so funny. That is so funny.
Okay,
Thing
they're
is, when
all
people make this many,
they're all on hold fire except for this one lurker.
he burrowed late too, so that might be what's up.
So
That could have been hilarious. I didn't realize that.
Let's watch that one more time. So he comes in. All the lurkers on hold position, right? This motherfucker doesn't burrow on time and then reveals himself to the army.
It's funny because he had them all on one key, but that one just didn't burrow.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
really funny. Oh my god.
Imagine how different this game would be if he comes to clear the creep and then...
Not really different at all because Dark wins.
Yeah, but it would just be like... his whole army would just disappear. That's so many lurkers. That's like one-shotting like anything amount of lurkers. Talons, Hydras, more lurkers. Oh my god. This feels like a super all-in thing to do, by the way.
Yeah, when people make this many lurkers, I almost get confused. It's like, I guess in this game he can finish him with it, so it's not that bad.
Stats would have fucked him so hard. I don't even care who you
Yeah,
are.
I feel like
Stats would have slapped him right back to like
if you
when
have
he
a
was
prism
born.
at the top of the map and you have some immortals,
Yeah.
aren't you just fine?
Stats could have had
you
fucking
slow
like
this army
sky
down
toss
so
by
much.
now.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You could go carrier against this.
He's got what, 4 Hydras? Yeah, like it feels good against Hurricane's army composition, but it doesn't feel good against someone who did everything just a little bit better throughout the game.
Yeah.
Even Storm is so good against lurkers if you do it well.
No, when you walk all your High Templars into the spines,
If you
it's
do
not
that,
as
that's
good.
bad. But Stats wouldn't have done that, so. Yeah, at this point it feels bad. I don't know how you really engage into this anymore.
Well, you don't. This game is dunzos.
Yeah, and Dark can just rally Ling Hydra behind this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's just going for it. That's the Talons finishing.
So I think this game we would call like an active defensive.
Active defensive.
Right?
I agree. Yeah.
Because he went for the active hatchery block, and then he went directly into Hydras without really enough intel to know if he was about to get rushed.
Yep.
The third gas, like, I don't think that's...
Well, he had the lair on the way before that, so...
He did, but, I mean, you can just get layer and go roach.
What did we label the first game?
Reactive aggressive. He scouted what was going on with the Lings getting in, did the Ling drop, nailed the Nidus.
It felt like a mix of game 1 and one of the other games. Because he did what he did game 1, except he did it differently, you know? Like, he didn't build all those Lings at the beginning, but he still did the game 1 strat. He went for the Overlord drop. He did, did the same shit that he ended up doing in game 1, except I think
the
he
scouting
went
intel was
roach.
completely different, though.
Yeah. Did we actually get to see what Dark's decision for tech was off that lair? Or did he just die? I can't remember. Did Hurricane just die to the Ling stuff? Or did we see what he went?
Oh, on game 1?
I can't remember. I have a memory of a goldfish.
No, he did not. He did not die. That was the Archon drop game.
So game 1, Dark went for the Ling drops, right?
Yep. And then he
What
got
was
like
his tech?
Lings in the front, and he went Nidus, and it was against
Was it Hydra?
Dark Archon drop.
Follow up?
No.
What was it?
It was just like
just
Ling
Nidus?
Yeah.
The
Just
hell?
killed him with Nidus. We didn't bother to watch it. That's why you
Yeah.
can't remember it.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It was like Queens and Lings and stuff, and just... All right, let's go into the finals. We still have over an hour. Good thing.
Oh, do we?
We do. We have an hour and about 15
We're
minutes.
speedrunning this.
All right, so Dark versus Trap. Because of these things that we've been talking about and the way that Dark is playing this, I made the strong prediction that Trap would end up winning 4-2, mostly Stargate play, because I look at the types of way that Dark is playing, and I think that if you just go Stargate and play a very solid game, Dark is at slight disadvantages in almost all of his games. That's what it feels like to me.
So,
I mean, StarCraft's a little bit more complex than that, but...
yeah, of the first set of what we went over, we can kind of determine what games would have been good or bad for Dark, knowing that the Stargates are opening. Like, for example, let's say 5 Stargate openers against all of this. We know which ones are better or worse versus Stargate, right?
Yeah, like Game 2, he's still going to lose against Stargate. Game 3 is going to look completely different because that was the Mutalist game, so I don't think he would have gone Mutalist there. Game 1, against Stargate, like, well, I think that the Overlord drops just aren't that good against Stargate, right? So that was two of his victories. Was that right?
So at least 2 games are already way better with Stargate. Game 4 would have been no different because obviously your Stargate wouldn't be finished in time.
Well, the games that are labeled as reactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that we can say that those ones we can't decide.
Yeah, those games
because you're reacting anyway. So when you see Stargate, you're going to play a different game.
Right.
So 3 of his games, 3 out of the 5 that he played against Hurricane, the Stargate should have been good against, I would say.
Yeah, which is what we were saying before we even went into the series. We felt like he was being more active, right? Less reactive.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet if we go watch Hero, I think all 3 of them are labeled active, from what I remember.
Probably.
So, yeah. Yeah, we'll see what we see from this series. Oh, that's quite annoying. Especially if you skip the Overlord. You see you skipped the Overlord here? There's the Overlord now. It's a little bit late. Doesn't really matter, but at the same time, he wanted to take that base, so it's kind of annoying. Pylon's finished. That's weird. I don't think you need to do that. I guess if you can buy enough time for the Adept to come out, it could be really obnoxious because then the Adept can just block this forever. And taking the 3rd here feels so bad. Like, yeah, just no. You know? But at the same time, finishing a Pylon feels really bad.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's not even... Oh, did you build it? Maybe you should have built the Cyber. You think that's too much of a commitment?
Yeah, going a little bit over the top there. It's kind of a long
I think if it was a ladder game, he would have built the Cyber.
Maybe. I think if it was if it was Cyber Force, he would have built the Cyber.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to, right?
Well, this is just a longer map, right? It takes a while for them to get across.
Players mining these feels silly. It's like 2 seconds from here to here versus right here. But they just makes them feel better. Feels like they're doing something on the map. I've had so many people 12 pull me and they mine out these 2 and then come in here. It's so annoying. It's not even like you still die either way, but it's just fucking annoying because they think they're smart. They're like, I'm gonna 12 pull. I'm gonna mine out these minerals with the drones I pulled to build spine crawlers. And
yeah,
like wow, that wasn't obvious.
Sounds like a no regret strategy.
No, my strategies have like thought behind it. That's just like the very obvious thing. Like 2 plus 2 equals 4.
I played your Terran recently. You don't have much thought in that.
Well, who won that game?
Listen, Mr. Poker Player. Sucking out does not equal smart.
My favorite part was when like a couple of Marauders, a couple of Marines killed your 3rd.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was my favorite part.
So he did some reasonable harassment here. What is? Let's take a look though, right? Because we're trying to look at what Dark is up to. He just added 2 gases. He knows it's Stargate, right? It seems like a reactive game so far.
It has to be, I think.
Yeah.
Did he build a Roach Horn? He did. Yeah.
It seems reactive.
We can go back and see when the Roach Horn is built, but...
Well, because we see the Roach Horn's done, like, I already kind of know when it was built. The exact supply number doesn't really matter that much, I think.
Well, I mean, like, for example, you just got a Stargate, you build a Roach Horn. That's kind of weird, but...
Well, I mean, it always goes in Archon drop, right? Like, it's so rare to see a build that's not Stargate Archon drop.
Yeah.
It's like, there is Stargate
Well, there's
Robo
this
third,
double Phoenix stuff, but that then...
Yeah,
like
that's
double
true.
Stargate Phoenix is so obnoxious if you get a Roach Horn.
Yeah,
they're just useless. Like you just feel stupid.
Nothing is as garbage as Roaches against 2 Stargate Phoenix.
Yeah, like you actually, if you go Lings, because you can actually Ling Bane some Protosses that go double Stargate. What?
I was wrong.
What?
It's funny because I even cast these. It was a Stargate opener and he still went for the Spire.
Right.
So it seems like this is his strategy for the map. Look, he's taking his 4th base.
He did the same thing.
This is the same thing.
So this is kind of like what I was saying.
So
then,
interesting.
right?
Okay.
So
yeah,
my thoughts were, I wasn't saying that you were wrong or anything because I felt like that was totally viable. But my thoughts are, you go Spire, you build like the 15 Bermudas max, right? They have to go Phoenixes, they have to go Blink Stalkers, and they have to take a 4th. Those are things that you have to do as a Protoss, or you have to go for it. Those are your 4 options, I guess you could say. All 4 of those options are very bad against
taking the 4th base is so difficult.
All 4 of those options are complete trash against Roachling Bane, all in. Basically off 70-something drones.
Okay, so can we think outside the box for a moment? If this map stays around for a long time and Dark style becomes strong, what if you just mine this out and take this as your 4th?
How do you defend it, though?
It's a lot easier because this you can it's hard for them to attack up here a little bit. It's just this. There's no way.
My problem is
that can't be your fourth against this.
You get run by it here.
Yeah.
And this was just
it's pretty open still.
This was a smaller ramp. I like that better because then you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sit up here.
Yeah.
But this ramp is big enough that you can actually just come up and fucking kill the army.
Yeah, I
with
pretty
Biles.
much agree.
What
if you just put a Nexus next to these patches right here to get that?
And just mine these?
Yeah,
that's
just
your
mine
third
that.
base?
That's your third.
Yeah, that's a great idea, dude. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. You got 50 murals there.
Make another probe, and then you can long distance
That's
mine to
you're a
that.
genius. You
but
figured
then
it
the
out.
Nexus can't be killed.
What if you just take your third here?
I mean, you're going to have a lot of Archons, that's for sure.
Yeah. I feel like Dark actually just has a solid strat. Because even if you take this, it feels doable still with an all-in. You know? Like, yeah, it feels doable. Like, there's 2 ramps here.
Yeah,
the space is pretty wide open.
It's just the runaround time to the ramp on the right is kind of long, but yeah.
This here is, like, really short.
Yeah, it is.
And the thing is,
it's actually longer for you as the defender.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
So it actually feels like this is still abusable.
Yeah.
I think that this is just a straight up solid way to play on this map by the looks of it.
Well, I don't remember the game 100%. Let's watch and because
I can already tell how this is going to happen.
I like it. Well, I'm more interested now because now I have to re-ask myself: was that actually a reactive defensive game from Dark? It seems like it was active. Reactive. It seems like he.
I think it was active aggressive actually.
Well, yeah.
Which
just
was
4
what
base.
I thought it might have been.
So
yeah, I think we label it active aggressive almost 100%.
I think it is.
Because there's almost nothing that he scouted here that would be like, okay, now I'm gonna go Spire. You know?
No, well, it's against that even. Like, right? We have Archons and we have a Stargate. It's like those are the things that beat Mutas.
Yeah, he's going for the throat again too. This is
okay. Let's take a look at this.
It's even faster than the other.
I'm so excited. I'm getting chills right now. This is so cool to like look at this because normally, you know, people are like, oh, he's macroing. It's a macro Zerg. You know, no, he's sitting here on 60 drones.
Yeah.
This is the same strategy used against Hurricane. It seemed reactive.
Whoa.
What?
Holy shit, he doesn't have any mutas at all?
Oh, wow.
Wait. This is different, but so smart. So
he goes into mutas after this, actually. I'm starting to remember this game.
Okay. I was going to say, did he get it scouted? Because then, you know, then you're like...
Okay, check it again. He didn't, right?
He didn't get it scouted.
Yeah.
Oh, he's about to scout it, though. Or no, he's not. Okay. Let's see how this goes.
Oh,
this actually feels kind of bad, though, now, I think.
Do you know something that I actually kind of thought about this? Because you look at this, and you look at that, and that prism...
And you're like, this army's about to get bopped.
There is no way that this Zerg army should do anything here.
I agree.
This Zerg army looks like garbage. I feel like if you gave me these units, I would kill this.
I agree.
Okay? And Trap is a billion times better than me. So I was confused when he was doing this, but then I was wondering, could this be to trade into Archons a little bit? Like, if you can sacrifice, let's say, all these roaches and get rid of the Archons... The mutas are, like, way stronger when they come out.
Well, here's the thing, too. Like, he has to build units to deal with this. Like, not Phoenixes, obviously. He has to build Immortals. He has to build Zealots.
And if you keep the pressure on, he has to bring the Prism home.
And
maybe doesn't get a Scout on the Spire.
Look at the rally.
Maybe...
Yeah. It's 24 links, not a single roach. You don't see any Ravagers in production. Like, this is going to be, like, maybe 8 or 9 mutas after this.
You know, when plays like this were popular, you would actually look at it and be like, wait a minute, he doesn't have enough Ravagers. There have to be mutas on the way. You just start. But, like, it's very off-meta right now. I'm
curious if he'll build more drones or if he's just done drones. Because this feels like this, so far, this feels worse than when what he did against Hurricane. Like, I liked Hurricane stuff more where he went Spire and then the reaction was, okay, I got to go Blinkstalk or whatever, Archon or whatever. And then went for huge 4-base timing before he took his 4th. But right now, it feels like his economy's worse. He's attacking up a ramp into a Protoss that's ready.
To attack then?
Right now, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It's just like, could this just be...
I think this is just his plan.
It seems odd.
You look at this and you're not like, okay, I'm ready to attack. You know?
Right? Yeah, no. It's not like the 162 supply attack timing up a ramp into Protoss.
Let's just watch Dark's game so far.
All right.
So Dark, I don't think
he's already decided.
Yeah, at this point he's already committed because he's not building drones. He's building Roachling even now. He's got 3 overlords on the way. Spire just finished now. No mutas, 5 Ravagers. Wait, I don't know what he saw that made him think he could just kill him here. It's not a big army, but...
Well, he doesn't kill him, and there's no way he could.
Yeah.
It just... If you don't have Archons with an army like this... your mutas are going to do much better, I think. All right, let's see. Yeah.
How many sentries is there?
3.
3's not actually that many.
He's
But I
making
still
3
feel
more
like
right
he's
now.
already decided to do his stuff. You could just
Okay,
have more
so-
sentries than this. This doesn't feel good still.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a
seems
bad
like
taste
not a
in
good
my
attack.
mouth. Like if I'm a Zerg player here, I don't feel good about my position.
Absolutely. Well, you're not doing anything.
I agree.
You're spending all this money on these roaches.
Oh, this is getting good though.
You came too far that time
Yeah,
for sure.
that was a big mistake. He just lost an Archon. Okay, now I'm feeling okay, especially with the 11 mutas on the way. If I'm dark.
And he's droning.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's switching
so he's
into
building
mutas and he's
drones.
droning. There's still 4 Archons, though.
I bet that he goes into that 70 drone all in. That he did versus Hurricane. He's just doing it in a different way. Oh, never mind. What the fuck? I'm wrong. Dark is mind blowing.
What if... Hold on.
Okay, here we go.
Hold on.
I'm ready.
What if, right, because you were talking before about how a lot of times when you go Spire, if they're attacking you during that time, that's where it gets scary because you can't build mutas. You have to reactively build a bunch of roaches or whatever, Ravagers, and try to hold on against the attack. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this game, he wants to go mutas, but he's aware that there is a possibility of an incoming attack.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, he makes the units ahead of time and goes to attack. So if there's an attack coming, that's fine. He's fighting against it already out on the map
And it's before
instead
mutas
of
too.
at his base
Yeah.
where he can lose drones and lose bases. And if there's not an attack coming, he just kind of trades in some units, maybe at a slight deficit, but no matter what, he gets to go mutas cleanly.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with it. And there's a small chance that Trap is being greedy or something too, and you just kill him. Like, I think it's extremely unlikely, but there's a percentage chance.
Yeah, there is some small chance that I think that
Yeah,
it couldn't
it's
have
true
been
because
expected.
if you go for like the all in, if you're Trap and you're like you'd be moving out by then, you know, like
Yeah,
you'd probably be somewhere
no,
like here.
totally. It's so just
So
being
you
across
could just
the map.
fight here with your Ravager Ling. There's no way you break that, and then you can go Spire whenever you want. Or you
Yeah,
just
and
max Roach Ling.
You always have time to back up. You have time to switch your ideas, but like just being actively aggressive with it and trading out some units and then going mutas when you have map control. Like he has complete map control right now. Look at the mini map. We see there's red everywhere.
Look at his vision.
He sees there's nothing coming, right? He's keeping Trap back, and now here come the mutas. I'm like, this is always a tricky thing to talk about because this is like so complex and so interesting. You don't want to just
I feel like
for instance,
the
I
only person
just
we can talk to about this is Dark
yeah
himself.
no you're probably right. Sorry, I have to pause again, but yeah, it's important not to. I always try to check myself when I start having an idea like this, where it's like, oh, okay, preemptively make this so that you don't have to sit back. If you're just sitting in your base, he's going to be over there. He's going to be doing something.
Prisons or whatever.
Yeah, so he's taking this other approach where he's dictating the pace and he's attacking. He's making sure that an all-in isn't going to kill him, and then he can go mutas cleanly behind it. The mutas are slightly slower, but that's fine. But of course, you don't want to just convince yourself that that's why he's doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be
No,
like,
but
that's what he's doing. But it
makes
seems,
sense.
it
Like
seems...
if you 1 + 1 = 2 with that, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that too obvious, you know what I mean? It could be deeper than that. Like I think that's where we're going with this.
No,
right?
it could be something else. It could even be something like, oh, I don't... The thing is, it meshes well with, like, an understanding of what StarCraft is, what it's about, and things like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I look at this and I'm like, oh, I feel like I've kind of learned something. This is kind of a smart idea. If I played Zerg, I would try this out. Like, it gels with something that could be strategically viable to do.
I think it makes sense, and it also seems like Dark prefers mutas so far on this map.
Yeah.
I mean, if we dissected every single replay, we would know, but so far the only other map we've seen him do it, he basically did something along the lines of it, but different, right? Like he went for the mutas first before the push, and then he just kind of did a big-ass timing. But the point is he wanted to get mutas at some point. It actually felt like mutas did almost nothing that game, too. It felt like the big thing was the Roachling Bane. All right, let's see
Yeah,
what
no,
we got.
it turned out to be. It did. Okay, so...
I still feel like Trap's position right now is not bad, and I feel like
No,
that,
yeah, it seems fine, right?
I feel like it's because the way Dark did this, I felt is not as efficient as it could be. Like going for this timing, but it's safer. I think it's safer.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely not the best, but it's definitely safer. Nice. Nice.
Okay, so go back to the Muse.
Oh.
Excellent move.
Yeah.
Worth, I would say.
Definitely worth. I think at this point you're okay with losing mutas anyways, because you're going into Roach Hydra and they're going Phoenixes. So.
And look, he's going like Phoenixes and Stalkers.
It's a little scary for Dark though, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. It feels a little scary. Although, I don't know about this one.
I don't think the army can quite do it.
No, definitely not. But it feels like Trap should have more here than he does.
Well, this feels to me like a situation where Trap should be semi-pressuring, but would also want to fly a Prism maybe to the third or something. But obviously there's mutas out, so that makes it hard. Oh yeah, this part. Look at this. The mutas come in and kill the Prism.
Right. Yeah, this is a little scary. It's not... First off, if the Prism doesn't die, this is way scarier. He's got 900 mirrors. He can work with another 9 Zealots. If he saves all these Immortal, the game actually could go on, but it looks like he's going to lose them all.
Yeah.
Dark's got drones out here. That was a solid hold.
Yeah.
I feel like this is exactly what Dark wanted, though.
I feel like this is a beautifully played game by Dark.
Yeah.
Like a really, really beautifully played game.
It is.
What do you think Trap screwed up here?
I don't think Trap should have just gone for it right there. That was kind of like
yeah, but how do you decide after
Oh.
the failed attack up the ramp, and then the mutas that didn't do very much, when you have that many Archons in your army, how do you decide not to attack? Doesn't that seem like a time that you might want to attack?
No, I think he should have attacked, but I think the attack itself was not
It
the
was
most
too deep.
No, it just felt like it wasn't planned out. He came in, he left his Prism behind, and then he just kind of went to the wide spot of the map and just went for it, right? Like, he didn't really have any preparation. It just felt like a go for it now, and that could be the best case, like just go for the throat immediately as fast as possible. But it felt like if his Prism was still alive, he might have actually been able to do something. But instead, the Phoenix or the mutas came in and killed the Prism, and everything went bad from there. But I think the action to go for it was not a bad call.
Okay.
Maybe the Phoenixes should have been further back to deal with the mutas.
Well, they were defending it the natural, and then he started microing his army. The mutas just
Came in.
They just made a beeline.
We knew where the mutas were, so he should have been able to know that was a possibility.
Well, there were enough mutas too. There was 3 to 4 Phoenixes, so he actually has to micro still at that point, right?
Well,
so
even if he buys enough time to just get one more solid warp in, like that's just it could be a huge difference because it didn't feel like
9 or more 8-9 more zealots there.
It's possible.
There's micro going on at least from Dark instead of attack moving to kill your army.
All right.
That was really which game number was that? I don't even remember now.
I think game number 1.
Was that game number 1?
I think so. I don't think we watched any other Trap games yet.
I don't think so, right? The thing is, we talked so much, and like my brain is swimming with this realization that both games he went for this thing that seemed reactive, but it was actually active. Like he decided, like, I like Spire here, right? Maybe the Hydralisk Den was reactive in this game, but wow. Yeah, that was hey. Oh, the finals were on the current patch.
Oh, nice.
So we don't got to relog.
Ooh.
Okay, so we
Some
have
nerd
to go.
chills for that.
We have to go with active, aggressive. I think. Right?
Active, aggressive. Yeah. Do we change our game 1 too?
Well, this was game 1, right?
I mean, game 1 of Hurricane. Or whatever game.
Yeah, game 3 of against Hurricane. I think so.
Yeah.
My God.
My God. $17 hatch. Why? Oh, that's why. Never mind. I didn't see the drone. All right.
How many hatch blocks have we had?
Oh, quite a few. We should have wrote it down.
This is game.
I think this is the 3rd.
Game 7. I think it's the 4th.
It's either 3rd or 4th.
I think it's the 4th hatch block out of 7 games.
Because we immediately see a different reaction from
Yeah.
Trap. I don't know if I like this reaction as much as the other one.
I think you want to kill it before it finishes.
Yeah.
I think it was really
the
smart.
only thing.
Watch this. You didn't get to see the finals.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
The only thing is that the Adepts can actually do something here.
You see that?
That's bad. That's very bad.
You can't lose that Zealot.
Oh, yeah. Never mind, I remember. I played a game against some guy who proxy hatched me when I was playing Protoss, and someone said, "Wow, you're literally better than Trap," and I didn't understand why. Now I do. So I saved my Zealot. Yeah, so what do we got drone count? 19 to 25. I'd say Trap's in an okay spot so far.
He should have one more Zealot, though.
This is so annoying, too, because if these Adepts... Where, did you save both of them? Did you lose both of them? Wait, what?
No, he hasn't.
Oh, no. Okay, I was going to say, if you save both of them, this can be really, really annoying. But it looks like Dark actually might be going for an all-in here. And she is. Nice. Is he going Stargate? Ooh.
So this is active aggressive.
Yeah.
Again on this map. Map 2.
Yeah. You know, we need to do... Next CVP we need to keep track of, like... If we do, like, Rogue or Serral or whoever, we need to keep track of how many active aggressive versus reactive defensive games there are.
Well, sometimes you can't tell the first time you see. You have to see multiple situations for a player.
Well, I mean, like the first game, or the whatever game, game 3 of Hurricane, we thought it was.
Yeah, the Thunderbird games of Dark kind of figured out that that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas and that's the thing that I was talking about, where it's like you got to be careful to, when you think you've figured something out for a player, that does not necessarily mean that it's true.
So he's going for another timing like this on this map.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, but again, when we're talking about like statistics, this feels like a bit of a less chance to win than playing a normal game. I'm wondering if he just doesn't like this map and he just wants to
I think so.
Kind of burn it with a chance of winning.
It
right?
strikes me as a very Protoss map in this matchup. And I bet you this was Trap's choice, and I bet you it was Hurricane's choice. And that would be the first map you'd choose, would be the map most favored to your race.
Right. So I think the way he looks at it, from what I'm seeing, is it's kind of like, I'm going to try and do something. I'm going to burn this map, right? May win, may not, but, you know, I'm not going to give him too much info, and I'm going to try and kill him. Yeah. But this does not feel good.
No, he's super dead.
And this is interesting because we have the Stargate versus the Robo, remember? We were talking about this?
Well, look at how ridiculously strong this is. But, right, this is what I was saying, like, before the finals and here today. The way that Dark is playing, Stargate seems like just a very, very strong choice. Yeah. Like, he just stomped that. That was so easy to hold.
I agree.
And now he's, like, across the map. He's still doing some harassment. Looks good.
Right. 21 drones. Yeah, I mean, at this point it already feels like it's game over. What do we got? 30, 25. All right, let's just leave. All right. It's like, we already know how this is going to end.
So we are getting, the more that we look at this, the more we analyze the way that Dark is playing,
we're getting.
He is just dictating the entire game. He's doing his plan, where normally for most Zergs, in this matchup, in most Zerg matchups, to be honest, it's just
Well, the funny thing is, before we really went into it, before we really deep dived it, we thought this was the case already.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't 100%.
But now actually analyzing it, it really seems like it's the case.
So, like, before, we were pretty sure. We were like, it had the aggressive vibes. But now it's like, we've wrote it down, we've looked for those things, and it's exactly the same as our initial predictions. And I bet if we went through all the other replays, Hero and Patience, we'd feel the same, if not even more.
Yeah, I bet you.
Like, I think you definitely dictate the game against Patience and Hero.
Oh, this game's terrible, by the way. Ooh. This game is terrible.
Okay, as a Protoss, when I play this sometimes. You know what you're looking for? The first thing you look for if you're going to go Gate Forge? Yeah. Do you know what it is?
If you're going to go Gate Forge?
Yep.
No, I don't know what.
The first thing. The very first thing is this. The very first thing. Because if there's no Overlord over top of the net, you can actually sneak it in. Because the only way the Zerg player is going to scout this is if this Overlord gets here. And you're going Gate Forge. It's
already too late,
right?
Yeah.
So you pile on 2 cannons. You don't even wall them. You just build them like, you know, like here and here. If they pull drones, you're going to lose them. The whole point is that they don't know because their Overlord is on the map. But if they don't do that, it's just terrible. Well, because you go Gate, so you don't have the minerals to do what you want to do, right? Like a lot of the time you open Forge, there's no Gate, 150 more minerals. You can build more pylons, wall it in correctly.
You actually don't know how bad this game is yet.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I don't think you are.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Let's just watch the probe. Remember we were talking about suspicious probes, by the way? The probe harasses for 2 seconds and leaves. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. Wait.
Suspicious?
Wait a minute.
No, he's nowhere near it.
That's so sick. Dark thinks it's suspicious too. We were literally talking about this earlier.
Yeah. You're right, though. If you harass the minerals, mineral harassers are a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And they stay on your minerals until they accidentally mine the minerals, which everyone eventually does.
It would have been better if he accidentally mined it.
That's true. That would have been so much better.
He could have faked it like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah.
And then you know what? If he was really smart, he would have done it again, like, you know, just to fuck with him, and then he'd be like, oh wait, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you'd click it,
Completely
or you'd let it mine out. Okay, yeah, but he was so sus. He was so sus that Dark is pulling a drone.
Yeah.
And we were actually talking about this earlier in the series, so this is pretty hilarious that we have like 100% confirmation.
He should have just not harassed that at all.
Mm-hmm. Or the best thing I think he could have done is just not shown a probe at all.
Well, the Overlord was over the natural, right? So.
No, I mean, like, instead of probe scouting, he should have just left the probe here and then gone in and gone for it. You know what I mean? Because if you go in like this, you don't really get anything from it.
Yeah, I guess.
Plus, now the drone has literally been pulled. Like, this drone was pulled when the probe was here, so he knew.
The game gets much worse, by the way.
I'm ready. Look at this. Oh, he actually gets it.
Yeah, his timing was definitely down to have the minerals with this build.
Huh. This actually looks really good for him now.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Keep going.
I'm just interested how this goes so poorly. He canceled them, didn't he?
Just watch.
He let them in. He let them in. I can already tell. This greedy motherfucker. He probably canceled these 2 fucking pylons or one of these pylons, and all the drones came in. Okay, that's fine. You can cancel that
one's fine.
You can cancel that one.
Fine. You don't have enough surface area to
motherfucker. Why did they do this?
Just watch.
Oh, never mind. He's a god.
He's a god.
Wait. How the fuck? Dark doesn't win this game, does he?
Oh, he smashes him. It's not
what?
even close.
This looks amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why is your robo here though? What the fuck?
Well, actually, the hatchery finished, right?
Yeah, but why here? Like, you can kill it from up here.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. But the hatchery finished. Like, he...
Wait. This game looks amazing for Trap if he didn't build his robo here. But I guess you want to just throw it down. It's a fast immortal, too. What the hell? No shield batteries. That's another big mistake.
Yeah, all this creep in the way, right?
Oh my god. Oh no. This doesn't fucking power it, does it? That doesn't even matter. You can just kill the robo.
He's stuck in there.
No, the
You see this?
I can just kill a cannon, though.
You see this? He can't even see the high ground. What do you do with this? Look at that. Look at that poor mortal.
This feels so dumb.
It is so dumb.
Trap had the right idea, but his robo was like terrible. What he should have done is know that he could 100% get the hatchery and played the game from there. I think that's a big enough thing if you don't fully commit. Like these 2 cannons. Okay, wait, let's go back and dissect what he should have actually done. Because he was greedy here.
Go back to right before the robo starts. Okay,
so here's where he should know at this point almost for certain. If he's a good cannon rusher, he's not going to cancel.
Here you know, you know you're getting the hatch.
Exactly. He knows he's going to get the hatch. As soon as the hatch doesn't cancel, he should prepare for that, right? Because it's such a huge thing to just kill that hatch.
I was surprised he didn't send a second probe, to be honest.
Yeah, he must have practiced this a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So at this point now, he should 2 pylons, 2 cannons. It's definitely worth killing a hatch. No question. It's worth killing a hatch. He should be willing to accept that alone. Look, it actually looks like he might have been. I don't know why else you would do this.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that probe is sent.
Looks like he wants to take a nexus. So
yeah,
this might have been like a fucking stupid decision, like on the fly, you know, where he just changed his plan.
The way that he clicked that probe definitely looks like a nexus play. But the way he's built his economy looks like Robo, probably, right? Now, there goes the Robo. See, there's nowhere else for him to actually build this right now. Right? If you're going to get the Robo right as the Cybernetics finishes...
If he sent the probe here, he could have built the Robo here. If he sent a second probe.
Yeah, he'd have to cancel that.
If he canceled this pylon, he could do it right now, actually.
The cannons are not... what if 6 Lings are about to run down the ramp?
Build a Robo here. That cannon should still reach. Yeah, I think it's fine. You build the Robo here.
But no, I'm saying, can he get the cannons canceled? Can he?
The pylon?
Yeah.
This one?
No. If you cancel that pylon and go down,
Mm.
can... First off, does it reach the bottom of the robo?
If you can build a robo here, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if
the
they
bottom
can.
of the robo?
I don't know. I don't know.
And then also, what if lings run down? Your cannons are not done.
I think that's just stupid, though. I think statistically, you at this point, you know you're getting the hatch 100%. Why jeopardize the game? Especially, wait, I assume Dark built this because of the robo, right? No, he actually...
Yeah, he started before.
He started before.
I've seen Dark do this as his defense before, his spines. He doesn't like the Ravager
this feels
as
bad.
much.
If he had just taken a Nexus, which is looks like what he wanted to do originally. Cancel this, cancel this, cancel this. 2 cannons, kill this hatchery. He gets it, right? 100%?
Yeah, he would have been way ahead at that point.
Yeah,
sure.
He could have had a Nexus down and a robo at home if he wanted to.
Yeah. Against someone with spine
You
crawlers.
can cancel these 2. Yeah, this is just a bad decision. All right, let's I'm just curious if he always wanted to go robo or if it was just like a impulsive thing, because it looked impulsive, considering he sent the probe down.
His build makes me think he wanted to go robo.
I
But the way he sent the probe down makes me think he wanted to.
Listen, robo's not even
Nexus.
that bad against spines. It's the problem with the robo location.
Everything's fine if your immortal isn't trapped and your robo doesn't die to high ground spine crawlers. Like,
right.
I mean, if the robo gets up and you get a prism and an immortal, the game ends. I've never seen anyone hold that. It just doesn't happen.
I really don't like the spine response, by the way. But it worked out really, really well in this game. But it just feels so terrible having 3 spines versus like Ravage or Ling, or at least something you can possibly do something on the other side of the map with.
But you never do.
Yeah, you never do, but you definitely never do with 3 fucking spine crawlers. When was the last time you saw 3 spine crawlers kill anything on the other side of the map?
Oh, Nest T, long time ago. That was a great game.
So, yeah, feels bad. Okay. Yeah, you know what? He doesn't even go for the 12 pull this game, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Nice.
You really got something against 12 pull.
It's just trash, and he knows it. He's just fucking with me, because everybody comes to my stream and is like, 12 pull's so good. Why don't you 12 pull? I'm like, because it's trash. And they're like, well, Dark said it's not trash. I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck what Dark said for one time.
He wants to be the only Zerg champion ever.
Yeah.
He wants to trick Sue into thinking 12
That
pull's
12
good.
pull's good. I bet he tells his boys, he's like, hey, guys, I'm going to say this, but it's not actually true. You know? It's like all the Terran players. They all just, like, band together and they're like, hey, let's say Protoss is really hard to deal with, even though we all win. And they're like, okay, let's do it. There was this one interview with Innovation where I think the interviewer asked him, what about it, like, his TVZ, like, what he thinks about TVZ. And he's like, oh, yeah, TVZ is really hard for me. Like, I find that I can't really win. And then the interviewer's just like, hey,
yeah,
you have like an 80% win rate. And he's like, oh, that's just a number.
Yeah.
He literally said that's just a number or something like that.
Did you see that thing, too, where he was complaining about Protoss being imbalanced after he beat Trap in a series?
Yeah.
And it's like, the idea is if he doesn't beat Trap like 3-0, the game must be imbalanced or something like that. It's like,
it's just great. Imagine whining about a matchup with an 80% win rate.
by the way, active aggressive.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's going 2 base layer.
Huh. Wonder. Okay, this is probably Nidus then, right? What else could possibly be? Doesn't have Overlord speed. Doesn't have Wrench. It should be. This actually feels so good for Trap, though.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, let's watch how this plays out. So how many have we had active aggressives every single game?
From between Hurricane and this series so far, well, there was a cannon rush, which we can't really count because you're getting cannon rush, and that's the quickest thing in the game. So we're going to go. It seems like game 1 was a reactive aggressive, but we don't know if he was going to just straight do that anyways because he had a similar game on map 5, right, against Hurricane, which we put as active defensive. But everything else was active aggressive. Everything else. Yep. 6 games.
The one interesting thing is I noticed that every single one of them, except for one, which we also...
we changed
I was going to say, we also changed, is
nothing
active.
has been reactive.
Literally every single one.
Every game he's basically had a plan that he was doing.
Which is so interesting because it's like so away from the idea that we have of Zerg.
I guess the game 1 we're not 100% sure on.
But even still, game 1 felt like he was dictating the pace.
He got lings in immediately, and he kept getting lings in, and then he dropped lings.
Right.
And he
So
did
that's
that
a pretty
later on.
fucking
So
active
it's
game.
most likely
it's
an
most
active
likely
game.
active as
Yeah.
well.
And the thing is, reactive would be the standard stuff where people are arguing whether or not you should get Overlord speed. You get your Roach Warren right at a certain minute to make sure you hold on, and then
Right.
it's very interesting watching the way he plays.
All right, well, I'm curious about this one because it feels bad.
Yeah, it does.
This feels...
Well, stuff like this. I see 2 base layer, and the other guy's going Stargate. I'm like, okay, Stargate's favored.
There was
like, whatever this is.
Somebody told me that one of the Korean casters said that he did one of my builds, which I'm curious about. I'm wondering, because I actually taught him a Ling drop build, but this doesn't look like it. But he might take the hint of what I was doing and was like, okay, your build's trash, but maybe if you do it like this, it would be better. I'm curious if... I don't think it's this game, but no, Infestation Bit, that makes sense. Whatever game, there was some game that he link dropped, and the Korean casters gave me credit for it.
Oh, nice.
Don't know which one. But it was more all in, it wasn't just like a thing. Infestation Pit, did he scout that? Is that? No, that's which one? Where's the Infestation Pit? Oh, there it is. He definitely doesn't want that scouted. Because right now, remember we were every Zerg player and their mother complains about, oh, how it can be literally anything when you see a robo? It could be literally anything when you see a lair too. Like, it's literally anything under the sun. Could be a fucking Spire. Could be Swarm House. Could be a Nidus. You know, it's kind of like the same.
Roach speed.
Could be literally anything. So
not Fast Hive.
Well, could
2 base Hive doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
By the way, he scouted every base with the oracles. I just want to point that out.
Even the island.
He's like, wait, what are you doing?
He scouted the island. Yeah. What world would there be a hatchery in the island?
Well, I think that might have just been through the point.
Oh, he already knows, I think.
Yeah,
it looks like he already... I think he has the suspicion, because what could it possibly be off 2 base?
Yeah.
Even if it's just like Spire or something, this is still fine, right? Oh, I like this.
Yeah, the Queens was very nice.
Oh, this is cute, too. He just drops a couple because he doesn't want to use all of them. That's pretty cute. Oh.
Oh, yeah, this defense was amazing by Trap. I really liked this.
Oh, my God. What?
And
okay, never mind.
Well, watch this, okay? So it goes up here, goes to kill a building. Wait until you see the first time he dives onto a stasis ward.
Oh, I'm ready.
Because just the way that these two played this game, I thought it was so cool. All right, watch this, watch this.
Oh, this is so cute.
He's going to dive on a stasis ward shortly here.
I like... Oh!
Oh, maybe it's the Lings that find it. Okay, yeah.
If he had just gone to the NAD. Right? Oh, this is good, though.
Okay, now watch the next swarm of the next thing of Locust. Look how quick Dark thinks about this. Because I haven't seen stasis wards really used like this against something like this. This is a very uncommon situation. Now watch this, watch this. You see that? He sends one down.
He's fucking hacking, boys. We found him.
He's so good.
Holy shit. I want to watch that one more time. Like, watch his camera, too. Like, he's just doing his shit, right? He's sending his links.
Stasis wards. He's like, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
That's so sick. He sends his wave. He's, you know, macroing. He's building drones, whatever. That's so sick. He's so good.
He's so good. See, he throws another one down.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, that's enough. You don't have any more there. So awesome.
That was so sick. Yeah. I didn't see that until now. He even knows he's not going to get the Nexus, so he starts going for probes.
Yeah.
And Zealots.
I think he did maybe one volley on the Nexus, and then was
then realized, not
happening. Not today.
Third base is on the way. This is such an interesting way to play. I really like it, because I think that the Protoss can react correctly to this, right? It's not a completely all-in thing.
It's actually really impressive how Trap does this. I actually thought that Trap was not going to be able to break him when he does this game. As you can see, it's only minute 30 more or so.
Ooh.
But, like, I felt like Dark was actually going to hold.
This is so cute. What a game. I really, really like this game so much for both players.
Like, see? He throws up just a few.
Look at his target, too. Goes straight for the Archon. Yeah. Doesn't want to waste their time on Zealots. Picks them up. Ooh, that was a bit of a mistake, though.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a big mistake. Here, this
he was never going to save
this. This makes so much sense from Trap, too, because I think that he can almost always get the third here.
Oh, yeah.
Because
you will never hold this,
spines,
no matter how
right?
you do the Locust.
Yeah, you need spines, but you can't have them at both bases here, so you either get the NAD or the third here. This makes a lot of sense. And then he looks like he probably would have taken a third if it wasn't for creep here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely would have tried to take it at least. the fuck's that Ling doing in there?
Stasis ward. So here, I actually did not think he'd break him when the Locust came up. But that's a lot of Archons. That was foolish of me.
Yeah, this makes sense, I think, at this point. Also, it wasn't one massive wave.
Yeah.
It was that first wave, you know?
You would need everything.
If he sent a massive wave, I think it would still be close.
I think Trap would still clean it.
Yeah, I do.
Because
if the
the wave was there as he came up the ramp, he'd be fine. But
it's like the thing is, like, they fly in,
Yeah.
they get shot, and then they drop, then they get shot.
This
and then
was
the third shot cleans them up, right?
This was ridiculously sharp play from Trap.
It was.
Really?
This is just clean. This is really clean from both players. I just feel like Trap had the right response.
Yeah, well, Trap, on the other hand, we've been talking only about Dark, but he's playing, this was a beautiful reactive game, a reactive defensive game, where he countered everything real well and then nailed him. He just got him exactly how he needed to.
You know what we should do? We should make like a player like, you know how you can do like trading cards or whatever of like baseball players?
Yeah.
We should do like a trading card on like players and label them like active, aggressive, like whatever. You know what I mean?
Make a Hearthstone-like game.
Yeah, that would be cool. Patreons maybe one day when we get real big.
Okay.
Let's not talk about Trap or Protoss because who fucking cares? We're doing the GSL champion, my dude. Okay, who wants to talk about a Protoss who ends up losing? That you're right. That would have been a way better episode than Dark versus Protoss. Trap losing.
You know, what an episode we could make where it's just like Protoss is making stupid mistakes that cost them the game, and we just play yakety sax the entire episode.
I'm just kidding too, buddy. You don't need to apologize. I always do this where I'm like, that was a really stupid question to my chat, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just kidding.
Even type lol, dude. Come on.
I was just kidding, and then I'm like, wow, I'm just a dickhead, you know?
You're a mean guy. All right. See if Dark keeps up the aggression.
Right. Let's see what we got.
It's more than I thought it would be with how he's like just like these are my strats and these are what I'm going to do, and like
thought there would be a little bit more reactive sprinkled in.
It's cool because he's preparing and he has a decent idea of what Protoss are going to do in general, but he's using like very good fundamental understanding of what to do, and then normally, again, Zergs will do a very predictable set of things, but and Protoss will have something planned out. Like you look at Classic, when he plays against someone who's playing predictably, he can't be beaten. But Dark is like you can't really prep for it. You need someone like Stats to play against him because it's just.
On a side note, I feel like Trap did a really good job of prepping for this tournament.
Oh yeah,
like it feels like he was better prepared. Really.
Trap?
Yeah, it feels like Trap was really well prepared.
Well, just the fact that I see him keep going Stargate a lot.
But still mixing it up even like with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels like he was really well prepared, but Dark was just like,
yeah,
I'm going to go. You know, like, I don't care.
Well, the thing is, because he did so many different attacks that, like, he had decided before really figuring out what was going on, I think that shows preparation as well, you know? He's like, oh, this attack's going to be really good. I think the Mutalisk games on Thunderbird are my favorite by far. I'm just so enthused about that attack he did up the ramp that didn't make sense.
Right.
Why do I love that so much?
I really love last game for both players. That's my favorite game so far. By far.
Yeah, no, that was a good game too. All right, hold on. Pause. Let's see what Dark has seen so far.
It looks like he's seen shit all.
He has seen nothing.
The only thing that he knows is a Stalker, which generally means not Stargate.
Yeah, yeah.
Generally.
Well, you would have an Oracle in the base by now.
Yeah, you can see he didn't build Spores, so...
Yeah.
Well, I built one. Built two. Never mind.
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal because you'll just keep your queens near the other base.
Is it normal to build Spores?
Two? Yeah. Well, these were blind, right?
Yeah.
He's just playing a defensive game right now.
I played a game against a Marjorie build that I had to respect the Dark Shrine. Actually, I played it against Estrella.
Yeah.
And he made fun of me. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I didn't know. I had to respect the Dark Shrine. Do you think that's stupid? And he's like, yeah, you just played bad. I'm like, what?
Damn.
You know? And I'm like...
Savage.
Yeah. So it feels really bad when you have to build Spores blindly. But at the same time, you have to. Otherwise, you just die. Yeah. But with a fast lair, do you have to? Maybe not.
Well, no. I don't think it's against this. It's against Oracle. because he didn't know. He didn't scout at all. Because you can go Stalker Oracle, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it is
just
absolutely
uncommon, is
doable.
all. But
Yeah. Well, it's not the best use of the build, but it is if your opponent doesn't make spores because of it. It's, you know, SOS is on Trap's team. He could have told him to do that.
This is cute. I like this. I love all these plays. Even if he gets like 2 drones, I like it.
He's doing some damage. It's not bad.
It's like the potential for a high payoff is huge there. I don't like how this is not 2 Archons already, though.
Well, like I think his build is so tight. Look at this. He's got his 3rd Nexus coming up and stuff. This seems like very reactive defensive from Dark.
Yeah. The only thing that makes me say no to that is the fact that he didn't scout much this game.
Yeah, no, he certainly didn't for a long time. But, oh, this is actually the game where you're going to be like, oh, Dark is just playing a better series than Trap. This is the game where, like, Trap should win this game. If they replay this, Trap will win it every game. But, like...
That's interesting, too, though, because if this is one of the only games we're going to label reactive, like we're thinking about, and it's the one game where you feel like Trap should 100% win, this is very interesting.
Well, let's watch and you'll see. It's like...
Do you remember Scarlet versus SOS?
From Pyeongchang? Yeah.
That was 100% active, too, that series almost.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that was a Zerg champion. The only... Life... Wait. We should think about this.
Super active.
Yeah.
Super
wait,
active.
wait. Even Raynor, who's coming up, we're saying is super active, right?
Yeah, it's
the only question marks are Rogue and Serral, which we would say are way better players at the time than the people they were playing against.
Yeah,
I think
that's
right?
true. Like Rogue has had the best late game we had ever seen from anyone in any matchup, basically.
That's so interesting.
But he was a very defensive player. Rogue was the most defensive Zerg I've ever seen, I think.
I'm trying to think here. So, Scarlet won Pyeongchang. It was a weekend tournament active play, almost every single series. Dark
Sue's games against Stats and IEM.
I don't know now. I wish we had this system where we could do this earlier. We should probably just do this every time now.
we don't know. You know, it's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, the thing is, you can't. Okay, absorbing stuff is there. You know, we talk about ladder versus tournaments. If you're sitting back absorbing things like Stats does, there's a reason why Stats doesn't win that many tournaments but gets deep all the time. It's because he's so good at absorbing everything. Like, he erases a lot of the variance because of the way he plays, but at the same time, you peak lower. That's why Classic actually will win more tournaments than Stats, but not be as steady as Stats generally. Yes, he has been for the last 6 months or whatever.
Ever watched Stats play ladder, like on stream?
Sometimes. I haven't in a while.
Literally everybody makes fun of his ladder MMR. Like, I'm 100 MMR off of him.
Yeah. Well, that is...
Which is funny, right?
This is... I know this very well because back when I was a top USA player in StarCraft 1, I was terribly low MMR compared to everyone, but then would be able to...
do so well at tournaments.
Yeah. And, I mean, I guess the same thing now that I'm good again. You know, it's just... When you play like that... It's like you have this certain base level of stability where you live through everything. And, like, for instance, Stats, okay, occasionally he'll fall out. You know, there's exceptions to every rule and everything. But if you look at the players that more often will win and fall out early, like, look at Zest.
Right.
He is sharp as can be, but he'll lose in round of 32 2 seasons in a row and then win GSL. You know, and it's like his level didn't really change that much.
Like,
well, I think Maru's become a more full player, so it's harder to describe him.
Sure. I think Mar had a lot of unfortunate circumstances in the 32 too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too to think about this because Stats seems to do better in some of the short form tournaments as well. Like, you see him do really well at Home Story Cup or whatever. In GSL, when you give a lot of time for a player to prep for Stats, I think it's very doable. But if you give little time to prep for Stats, I think that favors Stats tremendously because Stats is just so well-rounded.
Yeah. Well, that's also something we've talked about a lot in the past where, like, weekend tournaments are good for Zerg in general because they play reactive generally. They can kind of weather the storm, right? Yeah, it's
so
it's
interesting.
A very
our
fascinating
GSL
thing.
champion in however many years, if we don't count life or whatever, is one of the most active Zerg players in Korea, if not the most active Zerg player in Korea, maybe next to Impact.
Yeah, I was going to say next to
Who was also a
Impact.
champion at one point with VSL. Which was I wonder if we had like infinite amount of data and infinite amount of like points, and we could just like pull all of these stats off of Blizzard, like what percentage of tournaments are won by active Zergs versus defensive Zergs, what percentage of those tournaments are weekend versus like long form. I wonder if we would statistically see a trend, but obviously it wouldn't fit perfectly, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there would be a statistic trend there.
Well,
it feels like there should be.
I think that there's a better way we can talk about it too that I haven't come up with yet, where it's like a lot of it is about playing your own game, and the thing is you can look also like mechanical skill is a big variable, where like MVP was the best mechanically, but he also strategically was magnificent, right? And so he was a super champion. But then I look at innovation, I'm like, okay, mechanically just brilliant. A step above everyone mechanically, right? But maybe strategically not quite, right? Whereas Maru's got both those. I don't know.
This would be why if we had like a player list that you and I made up, we give them a score between 1 and 10 or whatever on the player list for like multiple categories of like maybe scouting, and we could make up as many categories as possible.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see the correlation between that and performance within tournaments. And, you know, that kind of stuff would be really interesting, I think. Because certain players have huge advantages in certain aspects and just complete garbage at other things, right?
Yeah, it's
and
very true.
You can find those things and abuse them, but that's when we get to, like, Serals and Rogues and Darks and whoever, once we start getting to, like, you know, 8s and almost everything, you know what I mean? Maybe Dark has a 9 or 10 in aggressiveness, but maybe like a 6 or 7 on like just a standard like like a reactive defensive game or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to think
about. I think
about.
we need to work on the terminology a little bit, because it's like
we actually need a dictionary.
It's almost too broad. You know what I mean? Like these categories are a little bit broad. Like look at this game, right? He's played very defensively so far. And here's a Nidus. This is a very defensive opener. He didn't really take too much damage from anything.
I actually feel this game is not reactive. This is an active game. It feels like.
Yeah, it does feel that way. Because
the scouting, it didn't feel like he really looked for something and then responded. It just like he blanketly was like, I'm going to defend everything in this section, right?
Yeah.
Like DT, Oracle, I'm going to defend like, you know, all of these things with just a blanket thing, and then I'm just going to go for something, which feels extremely active. Whereas if you send in an Overlord and you're like, oh, there's a Twilight and Dark Shrine.
Yeah, I think the reason why we're having a hard time in hitting so much into active, which it's true based on what we've said that active is, but I think that this is containing multiple categories within active.
I agree.
If we pulled it apart, this could be even more interesting than it is right now and more accurate.
Well, this is like the first time we've actually tried to label these things.
Yeah.
And this might be the first time that anybody really has tried to do like a deep label on certain aspects.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need terminology that's well defined and really well like acknowledged. You know what I mean?
You have to actually work on something like this quite a bit before
we do the episode.
Well, no. Well, the thing is, this is like almost
the work on it.
The next time that we talk about things like this, it's going to be more prepared because we've done this now. But like, a lot of times when I'm trying to deep dive on anything, I go in with a vague idea, and it gets more and more refined the deeper you go, and then eventually you're like, oh, wow, I almost need to redo that whole thing now because I know exactly what I'm looking for, and that's like how you gain intelligence there, or not intelligence, but information and accuracy. Looking at this game, right, this looks like a game, right, 3 bases for trap, decent amount of immortals and sentries, obviously a lot of roaches around, but... Okay, go ahead and
this looks
just
like
watch.
This looks like a game that stats would fuck Dark again.
Yes, yes, it really does.
But I don't know. Maybe you don't go for it if you're stats. So far, I actually don't mind the defense. It's not great, but you know, he's
certainly not great.
Seems like he could have done this a lot better. But it's not game-ending yet.
Yeah, this is still a game for sure.
Like this is a pretty committed thing. It's like a lot of roaches on the way. And 12 probes for that, I think it's reasonable. Though
yeah, he's still fine. He's playing against 3-base roach. Now look at this, roach bro movement.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's going for it.
I
don't
love
mind
that
it,
he's. I love that he's actually used burrow movement some lately.
Yeah, burrow move is really good. I think it's underutilized.
It
in
is
other matchups.
underutilized, I think.
Yeah.
Just overall.
ZVZ was like all of it, but
Yeah. But I
other
think
matchups,
against
yeah.
Protoss, like this was the way at the very beginning of Wings Liberty that you would deal with sentry
you
type
just
pushes.
burrow under the force
Yeah,
fields.
you just run right under with your one supply roaches, pop up, kill everything.
Yeah, good times. 100 supply, 66 drones to 58.
Now watch right before the next attack comes and look at the position and tell me who you think's going to win.
Oh my god, that's so many roaches. What? Oh my god, what?
Hmm.
He only has one observer. I guess because, oh, you know, he can't really build that many observers.
Use a cannon is natural.
That's the Muta cannon, 100%. He's not 100% sure it's not Mutas, so he just built a cannon in each base just in case it is. And happens to work out. No one's like, I'm building a cannon in case it's Roach Burrow.
No, not as of yet, at least.
Yep.
Okay. So
Sorry.
these 2 roaches that just hit down here cost him the game. Those 2 roaches.
Mm.
If I recall correctly, how this game goes, those 2 roaches just won for dark. All right, let's go ahead.
Well, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but
yeah,
it's
watch this
possible still.
positioning here, right? So he's doing the Knights of the Main. You see where that army is? He attack moved everything down to deal with 2 roaches. In the meantime, he's got some mortals in here dealing with this. But do you see where that army is?
Yeah.
Look at the shield batteries. Okay, his Psystorm is just about to finish. Look at these. Look at the army size of. Just look. Right, he's got 5 sentries, 3 high templars with storm, 8 immortals, DT tech, shield batteries, a ramp that he's sitting at the top of. There is okay.
If this army wasn't here and it was
If it was
here,
there, yeah, right.
Yeah, I think he can do it.
You hold this.
Especially if there's more immortals here, because there's a mortal here and there's 2 immortals here. Like,
Yeah,
you don't necessarily need them there, but this is like the worst fight I've ever seen.
Watch this. Watch this. These. Oh my God. The Biles. Oh my God. There's
He's in the
nowhere to
corner,
run.
Yeah. It's still not even that bad. Like, this is like the worst fight in the history of fights.
I know.
And it's not just.
You see those Biles? They're hitting everything.
Yeah.
The DPS of Ravagers just became more than Stim Marines riding carriers.
It's a good way to put it. He just biled his own roaches. Yeah, this is actually. I can confidently say.
What is that?
It's a bile blowing up something. It's actually looks like the
sick.
shield. Should we take the thumbnail?
Oh my God.
You're not gonna get another one like this.
Hold on.
One sec, guys. We're gonna take the thumbnail.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Because we could literally not replicate this, most likely.
Yeah, I know. That pause will never happen again.
One sec, guys.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's
okay.
beautiful.
Okay.
All right, we're coming back.
into the game.
So, what was I saying? I don't even remember now. Oh yeah, I'll say for confidence, 100% confident that this would have been held if it wasn't literally the worst fight in the history of fights.
It's just it's so funny because the attack moved down there to deal with 2 roaches, and then it's just like, oh, your stuff is sitting in the worst place it ever could.
68 drones too.
Yeah,
like
it's only roach tech.
If you push this back, you're in such a sick spot if you're
Dark
a
has nothing at that point. The immortal count is getting so high. He's gonna have 10 immortals.
You could just push out with 10 immortals.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Doesn't even need other units with him.
It's a good thing we saved that screenshot. Even now feels like an overcommitment. If we had like just a little bit more here.
Yeah.
Like there's just not enough sentries here because of all the biles. A couple Archons that died. The immortal count is good. It just needs more support, you know? Like more squish. Look at this. The supply is hugely in favor of dark, but this is just all roaches. So if we were able to retain something more of substance than just immortal by itself, I think this would have been a one-sided defense. But now he actually just has nothing, right? And even still, it's not a one-sided fight. In fact, he might push this back. Oh, that's a lot of roaches. Maybe not. He's doing a really good job.
I know, right?
He just needs a little bit more.
Can you just imagine what this game would have looked like? My God, if he wasn't so out of position.
Yeah, look at this. If he had 2 more immortals here, I'd say he confidently holds.
Yeah. And the thing is, everything snowballs from the early part. Like, He could almost still hold
He
now.
almost holds it now, yeah. Okay, that was a big turning point, losing
Yeah.
the Prism. This is so all in from Dark. It's so all in from Dark. Like he, yeah. Very big blunder by Trap. I think Trap even knows he fucked up on this game. This is a game you walk away from, you're like, I could have held that, you know? This fucking guy. No respect. Alright. This is cute.
Yeah, I like these burrow movement chases. It's awesome.
Well, that's very cute. But at this point, the game is over.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice boom.
We got one more game.
One more game. Ooh, that's a doozy if I've ever seen one. Let me guess. It's another attempt. Wait.
What?
It's another attempt at a cannon rush, maybe? Something stupid like that?
I don't think so. I
5
can't
minutes?
remember, though,
Or
actually.
that, or it's a 12 pull, which it's not. What could it be? Careful now.
Yeah, I know.
We might miss the replay, my dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say I'm gonna guess Trap is the dictator here, but I'm obviously gonna retract that now.
Yeah, Dark does not play by anyone else's
Oh.
game plan.
Wait. This map's pretty shit for Link Drop, actually. This is how I play. This is literally my build. So far. Wait. Wait. If he stops after... Okay, this is very interesting. I would never do it on this map. If you're listening, Dark, this is a shitty map for this build.
What is it? Could you explain?
Well, let me make sure it's the right thing. He goes for the instant lair, right? I assume. Yeah. Does he take off at 50? Or does he go for it? Oh, he has more drones than I normally get. Okay, so this could still be Nidus or something, but this looks like a Link drop to me. It's a fast lair. His Link speed's on the way. Queen is done. Oh, he's actually getting a third. Okay, this is a little different, but like I said, it kind of like he took the essence of what I was doing and just like made it better, right? And sometimes that happens when you play against a build and it gives you an idea for something else.
Oh, yeah.
But this definitely has the essence of what I like to do and what I did do in GSL qualifiers. Yeah, here comes the Link drop. Oh, it's with the Nidus. Okay, I like this. This is sick.
Yes, this is what he did on game 1 against Hurricane.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No, but it wasn't as all in, right? He went.
No, it was. It was.
He went 16-16 with it.
I don't. Oh no. It was slower than that. It
Yeah.
was slower than that. But it was the Ling drop into Nidus.
I like this because the Lings can protect the Nidus here, and you kind of have to respect the Lings on both fronts here. So you can't just have all your units in your main to deal with the Nidus Worm. You need to have units down here. You only have 2 gates max. You will never have 3 gates at this point in the game. Maybe a Stargate, but unlikely. Actually, not unlikely. You probably have a Stargate out, but you can also actually just bring your queens in if you want to. Looks like the Lings went home to get in the Nidus. That's cute. Yeah, see, there's a queen. The Lings have so far to travel. This is scary because look at the drone count, 17. If this is held in any way, it's actually game over. I feel like when I play with this style that Protosses don't actually understand how all in this is. Like you could actually give up your main and still win in some of the instances, okay? Like not
like
necessarily
if you save a Prism and Immortal or something.
Yeah, like there's opportunities where like you could literally lose one of your bases and still win the game. 17 workers, he like basically has none, and he's mining off 3 out gas too. That means he has like 14 workers on minerals. That's only 2 drones more than when you start the game with, so. This stuff, you know why this stuff is so strong now? It's because of the robo openings coming back.
Yeah.
This stuff is so much stronger than it used to be. Stargates actually shut this stuff down so easily because you can just kill the Overlord with a Phoenix. Oracles shut down an infinite amount of Lings. But robos feel so hard to deal with Lings in your base. Like, sure, if they're here, you can deal with them. But if they're in your base already,
Yeah.
it
Well,
feels really bad for the Protoss.
this is one of the ways that games get self-balanced. So that's it. Dark's your champion.
Yeah.
This is one of the ways that games get self-balanced where you don't necessarily need a patch. Like if robo openings are so strong, Dark was aggressive in... Well, he got cannon rushed one game. For between the round of 4 and the finals, right, which came out to 11 games. He was cannon rushed once, which he just held, which whatever, that goes either way, it doesn't matter. And then it seemed like he was defensive one game against Hurricane. But other than that, he was just aggressive the entire time. He had his own strategies. He went out and he executed them. Stargate is generally the safe build overall to stop Zerg aggression, right? So when people are talking about Zerg doesn't have any good all-ins, that's like because you're playing against Stargate all the time. Here, Dark shows us that you have all these all-ins. Now, if every Zerg in the world starts playing like Dark, I promise you that you will see Robos go away and Stargates reemerge. So things like this, when Zergs get very good at punishing such an abusive build like Immortal, like this build's super abusive against Immortal. And then you know, we get into a more stable meta where, you know, the Zerg has this in their back pocket and you have Robo in your back pocket, and both are dangerous in certain situations.
Why do you think Trap doesn't just go Stargate when he sees this 16-16 gas pool?
That's, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. I felt like Stargate was always the right choice, but
yeah, it's interesting. I agree though. I agree with everything.
Yeah.
It's extremely interesting to look at it because if we had another Zerg player in the finals, it could have been totally different. If this was Sue, we would not say... this might even be why Sue comes second so many times in the GSL finals. Maybe he doesn't have the right amount of active aggression versus reactive aggression.
He's kind of interesting, right? He's generally, I consider him a mechanical player, like Innovation, but he likes to stay in the mid game a lot. He doesn't play a lot of end game. Do you know what I mean? Like he will start putting on the aggression and generally not stop. Like I remember that's how Zest won his first championship, because I was certain Sue was going to win that series. He was playing beautifully, but then he just won't stop attacking, right?
Do you think champion quality players are more likely to be active or defensive?
Well, you have to. Okay, so that is, it's such.
There's
again,
no right
I think
answer
that,
again.
well, I think there's almost a right answer.
Well, I don't think we have the information to say it's certain. For certainty.
Yeah, no, I don't think that we do, but I think that these things that we're these things that we're saying have too many things encapsulated within them to properly categorize, right? So, like, look at it. Okay, Maru on most of his championships played very actively and aggressively, and then, like this last season that he won, he was mostly playing completely reactively and defensively.
Yeah, which is insane, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest things that's ever happened.
I feel like we need to sit down one day and just give out like 6 or 7 descriptive words like that we see fit almost all plays, right? And then we can, because we only have like 2 or 3 right now, and it feels like we're missing like four, like a fourth or fifth.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like these terms are kind of representing what we want, but
it's kind of like colors don't exist until you have a name for them. Okay, because there's actually so many. Like I read something about this years and years and years ago, and I thought it was so fascinating. Where it's like they, for instance, in Roman times or something. Someone can correct me and tell me about this in the comments or whatever. But like they would say that like wine and the sea are the same color or something, right? But they're not really. The thing is, we have so many names for so many colors right now. Like we can actually,
like torque. Yeah,
as your vocabulary grows, like for instance, if I learn a new game, the first thing I do is get all the vocabulary words, because that actually tells you everything about what you're about to learn. Like when I had never played a MOBA game, and then I went into Heroes of the Storm, and I learned the entire vocab first, and then I kind of had the framework for which to learn the game within. So this
immediately reminds me of learning Korean for me. Like the first thing that I think about, because you have words that describe what you want to say, but they're so like scratching the surface level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got 3 or 4 words that in theory should be like 30 or 40 words.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it kind of feels like we're where we are with like completely describing how a player is playing a certain game.
Yeah, the deeper you look into something, the more space you make within that thing.
Yeah.
It's like, for instance, if you give your best build order to someone, you write it down on a piece of paper, and they start using it, they're not going to be able to use it well because they don't see the little tiny things in between all the times or the numbers or the supply numbers or whatever it is, right?
And the more you understand the game, the more you can kind of fill in those blanks yourself.
Yeah, and the more that you look into something like this, the more you can be like, oh, this is what he's actually
to think about the color thing, I feel like I know what I want to say, but I don't have the word for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can rank these players based off all these things, but it's more of like a subconscious thing, you know? Where I'm like, this person's strong in like these aspects, but there's not really a word to describe all of them in kind of like a unison's way of like combining them.
We will definitely have to think more on this and talk about it next week.
We've never thought about this either.
We got to quickly run through these questions because I get to get my daughter from school very soon.
Sure.
And we are reaching the end. We have some Patreon questions, guys. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's In-Depth SC2 on Patreon. So please check that out. Currently, we have a Discord channel. Just use the command in the chat, In-Depth, and you can find your way to the Discord channel if you're supporting us on Patreon. You can ask these questions where we'll just answer them at the end of the show. Okay, from Hawk Oddly, if you could switch abilities from one race units to another races, i.e. Ultras get Zealot Charge, but Zealots get Kindness Plating, what would it be? My personal favorite would be Reapers get Corrosive Bile, some sort of explosive, I don't know, Ravagers get to hop up, increase healing, and popping grenades.
Oh, this would be easy for me.
Yeah?
I would give Zerglings the Reaper jump ability.
I would give...
yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. Or Banelings? I'm trying to think of which one's better.
Okay, I would give Marines Fungal Growth. And
Oh,
I would
fuck
give
that.
Infestors Stim.
Okay, fine. I'll give Zerglings Storm. Like, if you could make a ton of Zerglings and just have them Storm, that would be a little bit imba.
Yeah, no, that's silly. I'll think about that a bit more.
Actually, you know what? I'll give Zerglings the ability to launch interceptors. And they're free.
Ouch. The old patch. That would be pretty strong. Thank you for
That'd
the
be
question.
sick.
From Knight Lieutenant Fields. Oh, wait. He just responded to that.
I'll make it roaches.
Give High Templars charge.
Imagine you storm, like...
Can't cast any spells because they don't have energy. Okay. Okay. Also from him. Assuming Classic had a team house of dedicated trading partners, do you think he would have beaten Trap, or was it purely nerves emotion that got to him? Okay, let's answer that first.
I don't think it's nerves or emotion.
He fucked up. He kind of threw, to be honest. Especially the last game, he was trying to make something happen when he absolutely did not. He had map control. He was even or slightly ahead, and then he just was like, I'm going to try to kill him. So he broke down at the end of the day. Maybe it meant too much to him. It was obviously supposed to be his season when Maru had died. I would say that there were some nerves.
And also in PvP, there are just chances of like unfortunate circumstances, and it felt like there were a certain level of unfortunate circumstances. I don't think Trap played I think Trap played a beautiful game, but Classic could have done a lot better too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lack of practice either. No. I think he can basically message anybody. I think everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I want to practice PvP with Classic." Like,
no, I don't think it had to do with Janair as much. I think it was Classic defeating himself, but obviously Janair helped Trap.
Yeah.
Another part of the question, in addition, why don't smaller Korean and Chinese teams form a coalition and form their own unity house to help compete against the Janair war machine? Rank gets split, and practice partners are just a yell away. Gameplay improves. Easy. Sponsors are happy because the players would likely place deeper in tournaments.
Listen, my dude, if like Microsoft or somebody was like, "Hey, we're going to give you $2 million to do this," then that would be fine. But it takes a lot of money to do what you're saying, and Koreans aren't going to benefit from having Chinese players here generally. There's a language barrier. The Chinese players are overwhelmingly considered worse, maybe besides time, and even he would be considered worse than almost all the Koreans. Why they don't band together and make their own team houses?
I don't think they want to.
They just don't want to. Yeah,
I don't think they want to.
We had some small team houses. There was a team house like it was Impact, Ryung, and maybe Patience or somebody. They have small groups of friends, but it just. Yeah, I think people actually just enjoy living on their own, having their own space, their own practice thing, especially after so many years of team house living.
I think if there was a lot more going on in StarCraft 2, the thing is, it's very healthy what we have here right now, like as far as amount of tournaments and money on the line, I think. But if there was a lot more, I think they would pop up because people would have to take it more seriously.
I also think sponsor money is quite important for this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not ever going to be really a professional thing unless there's some kind of investment or, you know, some kind of structure, which you don't get from a group of friends.
All right, thank you for the question from Hawkeye. What is one difference from Brood War you like to come back, like a unit upgrade or ability?
Come back into StarCraft 2 or?
Yeah. Like what could you take from Brood War to add into StarCraft 2 that you would like? I like the function of Nidus in StarCraft 2, I think, or StarCraft 1 is kind of neat, but I kind of like StarCraft 2 Nidus a little bit too, so I'm not sure if that's
I wouldn't want to replace StarCraft 2 Nidus with 1. I think we lose a lot of its use, and it's not very useful in StarCraft 2 because no one takes bases like the way they do in Brood War. Like you would never Nidus your third in StarCraft 2 to get from one base to another.
The Scourge. Someone in the chat says the Scourge. That's not a bad idea. I like Scourge more than Corruptor.
I think what I would do,
unit.
But it would change the game so drastically. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, well, you'd have to rebalance, obviously, if anything changed.
Yeah. I was going to say I would like to think that I would enjoy having Sunk/Spores from Brood War because they build so much faster, you can actually reactively do it. But at the same time, I don't know how negatively that would affect CVZ or other matchups. ZVZ would be a clusterfuck.
Oh,
that's a deep question.
The question, some ones we have to think on. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. This will be up on YouTube right away. Check out the Patreon if you want to support. We appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's about it.
That's it.
Got anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay. So we will be back next week with another In-Depth. We will see you then.